So awesome to have all of you here. Welcome, welcome, welcome. 6 p.m. Friday night. We are ready to friggin' rock and roll and get this party started. And you are right. This is probably going to be another Benathon. I think, Lisa, you had said that. This looks like another Benathon tonight, another mega live stream. We got a huge show tonight. A lot of stuff to cover. A lot going to be going on. So I can't wait to get this thing started. And we are going to do this, okay? Let me know if you guys can hear me and you can see me okay. Nick, what's going on, man? How you doing? Becky, how you doing? Mark, Lisa, all the usual suspects are here. My usual people, thank you for being here and letting me do what I love. Absolutely awesome. Okay, so we're going to get this party rolling. We got a great show tonight. Like, I have got an extravaganza for you guys tonight, okay? We're going to be covering all the way, and I'm going to let some people trickle in here first for a couple minutes before we get going, but we're going to be covering all the way from Jake Paul, okay, the problem child himself. You know, he's turning into kind of a bit of a legend in some ways. He's the problem child. You love him or you hate him, but, you know, he's doing it. He's once more scheduled to fight this. Thank you for the feedback. Appreciate it. Thank you, Jasmine. Hey, Jasmine. Appreciate it, Lisa. Hey, Nick. And so he's once more fighting Anthony Joshua, I believe it is, okay? And this guy's a monster. It's probably going to be the biggest challenge Jake Paul's ever had. But, you know, all the way from a Disney kid into, no kidding, a pro boxer now. If anything proved that when he fought Tyson Fury's brother, Tommy Fury, that's part of it. So we're going to talk about that. Is he a fraud or is he a genius? Is he a marketing genius? Does he know how to get the attention? He does. So we're going to just talk about a bit about, you know, him and about his tactics, his strategies, his habits. What has he done? What are the bold moves he makes? And then we're going to transition after that. We're going to transition over to some U.S. news and international news, the war, of course, Trump. We're going to talk President Trump a bit. And we got new breaking news in the Epstein files that I haven't even put into the title of this thing yet, okay? But I probably need to change it like right now because we have a significant portion of this live is going to be, we're going to talk about the Epstein files and some new things that are going on out there, okay? New things we're finding out pretty much as we speak, okay? New things are being released, and we're going to cover that as well too. Then we're going to turn to the war in Russia and Ukraine. And then we're going to turn to the war, potential war, and the actions that are happening in Venezuela, okay? With the seizing of the tanker. And then what is the end state? What is the plan for Venezuela? What are we going to be doing there, okay? And then we're going to turn our attention to China, as China's been heating up tensions with Japan. And China and Russia did basically a circle around Japan. Very threatening posture against them. Before we turn our attention back once more, and I know you guys were missing this from before, but we're going to talk aliens. We're going to talk aliens, and we're going to talk UFOs, and we're going to talk all that stuff, okay? Because there is a lot of news out there in the whole alien UFO world that we need to talk about. No kidding, that needs to happen, okay? So we're going to be checking that out as well, too. New discoveries are popping out. While we've all been very distracted with Epstein files and with Venezuela and with Russia, Ukraine, okay, there actually have been some new developments in the whole damn UFO alien thing that are coming out, and we're going to talk about that. What's going on, Joe Saunders? Great to have you here, man. Awesome. Hell yeah, Jasmine. We're going to do it. So as we let people trickle in a little bit, and then we'll get into it. But following the aliens, we are going to get into, again, our favorite thing ever, the leadership lessons of Southpark. And we got some good ones tonight as well, too, followed by, of course, last but not least, we're going to send everybody off with some good laughs as well, too, leadership lessons Southpark, and then also a pretty crazy little video as well after that. So stick around to the end for the surprise at the end. Stick around for leadership lessons Southpark. Stick around for this breaking alien news. Like crazy stuff. We're gonna have we're gonna see a testimony, interview from a U.S. Navy Rear Admiral interview and also testimony, and we're also gonna see more expert interviews on actually the aliens and UFOs and all those things too. I haven't gone back to it in a while, a couple months now, but a lot has accumulated, so we're going to hit that. And again, the Epstein stuff, man, there are a lot that has come out. New photos have been released, new emails released, all these things like that. So without any further ado, we're going to go ahead and crush this and get into it. Tell your friends, tell everybody, we are live, we're doing this. Get them here and tell them not to miss out. So let's go ahead and get this thing going. And we are going to open up with our buddy Jake Paul. Okay, so talking about Jake Paul now, you know, he's one of the most successful and useful case studies on the internet because he really forces a question. Do you want to be liked or do you want to be effective? Okay. And as you guys know, it's hard to compete for attention on the internet, on YouTube, across the world. And he's figured it out. He and his brother Logan have figured it out for years now. Jake Paul has been at the center of vlogging and YouTube fame since he was pretty much 16 or 17. He was a Disney kid before, and I'm going to show you guys a video on all this. But, you know, you have to really wonder, is he a genius? And put this in the chat, what you guys think. Is he a genius marketer or is he just hype? Which one is he? Put it in the chat, okay? Is Jake Paul a genius marketer or is he just hype? Rate him from 1 to 10. Is he genius marketer 1 to 10 or just hype 1 to 10, okay? Put that in the chat. Let's get this going. And tonight, you know, it's not really about just, you know, celebrating who he is and what he's done or his fights and his boxing. It's about learning lessons and taking the lessons, the habits, the strategy, the leadership, so you can apply it to your own life without becoming a walking circus. If you're trying to gain attention, you're trying to market, right? You're trying to put attention on your product or service, okay? And so I will say this. With Jake Paul, the big thing is that if I had to summarize him in one sentence, it's attention has led to skill, has led to leadership, okay? So he's a leader in the space now in YouTube boxing. He's created his own YouTube boxing, his own alternative fighters first type of organization that makes tons of money for every single fight. And along the way, he's built skills as a legitimate boxer too, as we're going to see. Okay, so all this focus on attention and doing all these things. Yeah, genius 5, hype 5, right down the middle, mediocre in both. We shall see, Mark, but I think you're probably right. You think both, Joe? You think he's both? Okay, I think he's both, Ben. I give him a solid 8. Yeah, I mean, he's impressed me more and more as I've watched him. But I will say he built attention as a creator, first of all, and they stacked skills as a boxer with real fights on his pro record, okay, as we're going to see. Then he used all this leverage to build businesses and a promotion company. I mean, his pro bouts, his pro boxing matches, and the results are tracked by boxing outlets like ESPN and you know, you name it. Anybody that's who in the fight game, they track him, okay? And real fighters have taken notice, obviously, as what's going to happen this week with him. But let's go ahead and watch this quick video, a quick little intro into Jake Paul, okay? Let's watch this quick first video into him and what he is all about here. All right. And I believe this is from Netflix, a documentary about him. Here we go. It's pretty compelling. I'm not going to lie. Pretty damn compelling right there. You know, when you see this and you see the results he's getting and just, you know, the attention he's getting from the boxing world. And I believe that was Tommy Fury. Okay. And as we're going to see, you know, Jake gave him a run for his money. He's knocked out quite a few former fighters. Okay. Some of them were washed up for sure. But for this guy to come in there and to be standing in the ring with, you know, some of the former best, right? Like the Mike Tyson fight was definitely just a show. Okay. Mike Tyson did a great job of preparing for that. But let's unpack this a little bit more, you know, and put it in the chat what you guys think. Okay, is he a serious contender? Is he maybe not a contender, but a serious fighter? Do you guys think he's a serious fighter? Yeah, he's let me see. I'm a machine. Yeah, and also he does occult practices. I had no idea. Is that true? I had no idea about that. Interesting. I'm sure there's a whole other documentary we could have to watch to find that out. But let's check out one more video here. Okay. We're going to build up some of this hype and find out a little bit more about him. Okay. And see what his latest thing he has. Well, this is also from his past too. And if you didn't know this, you're going to see it now, but he actually, right, he fought Mike Tyson. So, and if you didn't know about that, well, here it is. And again, some people say it was just a show. There have been people who have said that, this wasn't a real fight. But I don't know. You be the judge. Here we go. We're going to watch a trailer on this as well. All right. And so this has already happened. As you guys know, this one has already happened. That's a while back. And Jake Paul actually won by decision in that fight. If you guys saw the fight, a lot of people say it was fixed. They say it was pretend. I mean, I think there was probably a point where Jake Paul probably could have really rained down some bombs on Mike Tyson, but out of respect, he did not. And Mike Tyson, you guys know, during the training for that, he actually, I think he had a heart attack. He almost died, okay? And he lost all this weight, but he was looking amazing in the training, the run up to it. But, he got injured and he got sick and he actually had a heart attack, I think, and lost a lot of blood and all kinds of things happened. Lost a lot of weight. And so a lot of people criticize Jake Paul. But, I mean, do you agree with that? Put in the chat. Do you agree? Is he the face of boxing now? Is he the face of boxing? Is he doing more for the sport of boxing than anybody else? Okay. And is he drawing more attention to boxing and getting these professional boxers more of a payday? I guess his organization right now is a fighter first type of focus where you think so. Yeah, Joe. I mean, I think you're probably right, man. I think you're probably right. And so, I think he's doing a ton for the sport because he's making a lot of young men, young guys, and probably women too, who are into it, but pay attention to boxing. Whereas before, most of them are looking at MMA or other sports. But Jake Paul, because he has that it factor, he's got that really powerful it factor, that star factor as well too, that he's drawing so much attention to the sport of boxing that people want to try it out. And I think a lot of people look at it and say, hey, maybe I could do this. Maybe it's not too late for me to go ahead and try this, or at least get in shape by boxing. There are a lot of benefits to boxing, right? I mean, one of them is not getting punched in the head full time. That's not good. But, I mean, he's got a pretty fantastic, he does know. Yeah, you're right. I'm a machine. He really knows how to promote, man. He is amazing. So we're also going to try and learn lessons from him about promotion and leadership and habits and discipline and going for it. Okay. So this is all part of the introduction right now. But I want you to really think, what are the qualities that have made Jake Paul into Jake Paul? Okay. Think about, the boldness it took for him to schedule that first fight right on YouTube. The first time he fought a former professional fighter like Ben Askren, someone like that. And he probably didn't know. He might be knocked out. He's thinking, I don't know, I'm a pretty good boxer, but this guy was a former fighter. He probably can outclass me in everything. So no matter what, when you face competition one-on-one in a combat sport or any competition, but it's in front of the world, your reputation's on the line, so many things on the line. So a lot of courage and a lot of vision, a lot of belief in himself. And that's what I want to focus on tonight is, what can we take away from what he's done and what he's doing right now that we can apply to our own lives and our own businesses and our own careers and make our life better, okay? Because again, in this podcast, in this channel, the whole point of the channel is to upgrade your life, right? And so upgrade your life through knowledge, through strategies, through studying leadership, leaders out there in different industries, people that are making bold moves, that are crushing it in different walks of life, okay? And so that we can learn and we can take it with us. And obviously, we're going to have a good time later on with the comedy section. And also take a look at world news, U.S. breaking news, things like that. And also see, some of the darker side of things that are going on. And then how do we account for that in our strategy as well, too? All right, but let's talk character about Jake Paul. Okay? He is definitely polarizing. Make no mistake about it. And that is not an accident. Polarization is his strategy, right? Light versus dark, good versus bad. And you saw in my thumbnail, I have, inside the mind of a villain, okay? Jake Paul definitely embraces that villain, The other idea, the other title I was going to say was the blueprint of a villain. He plays the villain because the villain gets a lot of attention. You got to remember, you love him or hate him, but you either want to see him win or you want to see him get defeated and get crushed. There have been people waiting for a long time for him to get knocked out, okay? But all of them are buying tickets. People either root for you, they root against you, and both groups buy the tickets. That's the thing. They're all watching, okay? They're all commenting, liking, subscribing. Now they're paying. They're paying pay-per-view. They're going to his events. All these things, right? He is completely viral, right? If Donald Trump is the king of the algorithm right now, which President Trump is for sure the king of every algorithm, drawing all the attention, Jake Paul's probably a close second or third right there, maybe tied with Taylor Swift or someone like that. Okay, so, but there's a cost when you decide to use polarization as your strategy. You know, is there a cost to that? I think there's a cost. Put it in the chat. Do you think there's a cost if you're trying to polarize, right? You're trying to use polarization, making people either love you or hate you. But do you guys think there's a cost to that? Put it in the chat what you think, okay? Yeah, his vines were cool back in the day. He was definitely ahead of his time, you know? So yeah, Jasmine, he's very good at marketing himself and yes, promoting himself, right? Marketing and promoting himself, self-promotion, like a boxing promoter. You're promoting the fight. I think that's the context we're referring to here. Yeah, and I mean, Tyson, you're right. And I see that I'm a Machine. I see that Tyson made, what did he make, $20 million from the fight? He loves Jake Paul. Are you kidding me? A lot of these old fighters, they're getting a chance to make millions when their careers are over. And even if they did get knocked out by him, you know, he's offering them a chance at training again, purpose, making a lot of money, supporting their families, all these things. And hey, you know what? I'd get up in that ring and let him drop a bomb on me. Now, if I were one of these fighters, not a bad play. You get to do what you love, and maybe you'll win too, right? So, and Joe, you got here. Jake, in my honest opinion, took a page from pro wrestling 100%, all the way 100%. He's making boxing into pro wrestling. Yes. Yep, that is it. You're either the hero or the heel. I love it. I love it. Joe, you're spot on. You're ahead of it already. Yes, I mean, Joe Saunders, you're on it, dude. 100% all the way on that, okay? So let me ask you guys, though, okay? So there's a cost, right? I'm going to say there's a cost. Polarization can become a prison as well, too, okay? And if your identity needs controversy to breathe, right? If your identity out there, online, on YouTube, part of your job, you need controversy to breathe. You end up performing a character instead of becoming one, right? What do you guys think about that? Yeah. Tyson would destroy the vast majority of everybody. And honestly, if he hadn't gotten injured, if he hadn't gotten sick and had a heart attack a few months before, Jake Paul was trying to get him to cancel the fight. He was trying to cancel the fight. Mike Tyson told him, "Don't you cancel that fight. Don't you cancel it." And so he kept the fight on because Mike Tyson kept pushing for it and said, "I'm showing up for that fight." Okay. I think if he was 100%, I think he probably would have knocked out Jake Paul too. Now, everyone says there's that moment in the Tyson-Paul fight, okay? There's that moment where Mike Tyson could have knocked him out, and it caught Jake Paul by surprise, and everyone said Tyson pulled the punch. I believe he did. I believe he pulled the punch because he wanted it to go and give the fans a full, 10 rounds of them going, or 3 or 4 rounds, however many rounds they went for. But he wanted to give them a full show, okay? So, all right. So if your identity needs controversy to breathe, right, you end up performing that character instead of, actually being who you are and becoming the person you're supposed to really be. But type in the chat. I want to know, would you rather be respected or famous? Respected or famous? Because you can't always be both. You can say, I want to be respected and famous, definitely. But I'm saying, you see what Jake Paul is doing, right? He's definitely famous, but is he respected by everybody? He wasn't before. I think it's starting to turn. One of the reasons I have him on this show right now, okay? Because I think he's worth looking at. Now, his bold moves of being a fighter, I think we're worth looking at the whole time. But let's talk about, speaking of bold moves, his bold moves, his reinvention, his risk appetite, okay? His number one bold move, first of all, was reinvention in public, okay? Most people pivot quietly behind the scenes. They don't tell anybody what they're doing. They just do it and they arrive differently, okay? Because they're scared of looking stupid. Jake pivoted loudly. You know, he was from a creator, an influencer. He actually coined the term influencer with a few other people on YouTube. So he was big on YouTube when Mr. Beast was still nothing. Okay. And then into boxer and now into co-founder of a fight business, promotion business, right? Really, like Joe Saunders, like you're saying, it's more of like WWE. Okay. So we're watching his pivot. He announced his fights. I mean, his brother went and fought KSI, and then his brother went and fought what's his name, Mayweather, right? His brother Logan. So you're seeing them telegraph their shots, kind of like Conor McGregor did. Conor McGregor said, "Hey, if you can have a vision and you believe in it, and you say it out, you have the courage to say it in public, and you breathe life into it, that's how you're going to do amazing things." Okay, so let's watch this other video right now. Let's check out another video from him. Here we go. This is another really good one here. But before we do that, I want to see, where is he right now? Okay. What does he have going on? Actually, let's see him with a Tyson Fury, with the Tommy Fury fight. Okay. This is another great one. Tommy Fury making fun of him, saying, "You're not even a real boxer," and all these things. All right. And he went the distance with him.
I want clean fight, okay? Touch glove, go glove.
Grab you a couple times. All that high energy that you came to the ring with, you don't have a chance to use it. You settle down after you stabilize that weapon by continuing to use your jab.
Meaning it's not hard to find the other man. Overhand right over the top. Jake Paul using his jab as we near a right hand to the body by Paul. Back comes Tommy Fury, left hook. Fury opening up towards the end of the first round.
After releasing it, because we know
the fights. Jumping right hand by Tommy Fury.
Good work right there from Tommy Fury into the direction of an overhand right.
Jake Paul very relaxed indeed. He eats a stiff jab from Tommy Fury.
Just because a fighter is moving does not mean that that fighter is afraid to fight.
Jake Paul has sparred the likes of Andrew Tabiti overhand right, also John.
All right, so let's talk about this for a quick second here, okay? So we have to understand, first of all, that Tommy Fury at the time, and correct me if I'm wrong, Chad, okay, you guys tell me, was an active, right? He was an active fighter, active professional boxer, okay? He's someone that, you know, he's someone that he was active still as a professional fighter. So Jake Paul is really putting his whole YouTube fighting career on the line. You know, he's really risking himself when he goes out there and fights this active fighter who right beforehand, you saw in the face-off, he was saying to him, "Oh, you're not even a real fighter. What are you doing here? You know, this is going to be a joke." And everybody's saying Tommy Fury's going to kill him and going to destroy him. Okay. And so, you know, I mean, he went and faced off against him. Right. And so let's go ahead and continue this and let's see what happens. But I found this to be really interesting because, like I said, he went from a creator and influencer to an actually skilled boxer. But to prove himself as a boxer, he had to actually go and face off against somebody that actually had some credibility, wasn't washed up, and someone that was still an active fighter. So let's continue this on. Let's watch a little more here.
We are nearing the end. Overhand right. That was blocked. As Fury.
It's going to take more than one overhand right to get Tommy out of here. Now, here's the thing. Sorry, but here's the thing.
From the problem child. Now it is Jake Paul.
It's landed clean.
And let's also remember that Jake Paul and his brother Logan Paul were stand-up wrestlers.
I looked over at them. It didn't seem to shake them. No one seemed to acknowledge what Biden did last fight. Tommy, don't stretch your feet. Keep moving.
So much for that prediction from both men, stating the fight will not enter the fifth.
What's going to separate them from being 50-50? That's where it starts right now.
Jake Paul. Left hook. That's set.
Whoa, let's see that one again. Hold on a second.
Jake Paul. Left hook.
Whoa.
That's set.
Now, it's things like that where he just nailed Tommy Fury, right? I mean, and you saw him almost get knocked back. He almost went down. So things like that where Jake Paul, people start to say, okay, he's an actual real professional boxer. He's in the ring. He didn't get knocked out yet. They were predicting he'd be knocked out in the fifth round, and there he is in the fifth, before the fifth round. That was the prediction by the betting pools. Before the fifth round, he's done. He ends up, He ends up going the distance, I believe. Let's keep on playing this. We'll watch a little bit more of it. All right.
He can deliver some of his own.
Under a minute left here in the fifth. Paul and Tommy Fury, both men undefeated. On to the sixth we go.
All right, and here it is. Okay, oh, he gave us. Hold on a
against
second.
Tommy Fury.
So Jake Paul knocks him down.
Tommy landed
Fury. We have this a close fight. Who will prevail?
He has some really good rounds.
Oh my goodness! Against Tommy Fury in the eighth and final round.
And you can guarantee as he's fighting, he understands how important this is. He's going to put everything on the line. He just cannot afford to get touched at this point.
But you're doing the right thing. You close in. And Tommy, if Tommy closes the show, this becomes a
For the winner by split decision, Tommy Fury.
All right, so what I want to say is if you see Tommy Fury there jumping up and down, going crazy, so excited, I mean, honestly, you think he won some massive bout against a really hard opponent, maybe even a contender, right? So for him to be jumping up and down like that, he was in jeopardy. He was in real jeopardy. Jake Paul knocked him down, okay? So again, we're not so much celebrating Jake Paul's boxing prowess. What I'm saying is look at the character arc from this young kid, this YouTuber, this Mickey Mouse Club Disney kid, to a skilled fighter who called his shots and said, I'm going to do this. All right? He transformed in front of the world, put a ton of pressure on him. He assumed a character in order to get attention for it. And when he announced to the world what he was going to do, it puts a ton of pressure on him. I don't care what anybody says, it puts a ton of pressure on you. Okay? And with that ton of pressure, he went all in on his training because of his success also as a YouTuber, as a viral video maker, content creator. He had the resources to go all in on his training. He committed to it. It takes a lot of courage to face people in the ring. And, you know, by all accounts, if you told me that he was going to go against Tommy Fury, I would have said he was going to get knocked out. It's going to be done. It's not going to last 2 rounds. But that guy's a big guy, too. He's Tyson Fury's brother. Tyson Fury, the former world champion, heavyweight champion, who's 6'8", big monster. So, you know, so many people have counted Jake Paul out all these times, and he's still there. So we're going to see. He's got another huge fight this Friday night coming up. That's why we're covering this too, okay? He's got a huge fight this Friday against, what's his name? Let me see here. Andrew Joshua, I believe it is. Let me just see, as I can't exactly remember, but I'm going to, oh yeah, Anthony Joshua. Sorry, Andrew Joshua. Anthony Joshua. And as a matter of fact, now that we're on that subject, we're going to cover that in a second, okay? But I want you to think, you know, he also co-founded in this transformation the MVP, most valuable promotions, with his partner, and positions it as a fighter-first modern digital storytelling platform, okay? Because he knows the power of story. This guy's done it his whole life. And he also co-founded Better with Joey Levy, pushing sports and gaming and media, putting more, sports and gaming media together. So he's a real businessman as well, too. So his bold move, the other bold move is he keeps choosing opponents and moments, and listen to this, that create an event. So it's less about his credibility as a boxer than creating an event. Now, definitely the Tyson Fury. The Tyson Fury fight was him showing everybody, pay more attention to me, okay? Because I honestly, after the Mike Tyson fight, people thought he was a fraud. That's why I said, is he a genius or is he a fraud? You guys put it in the chat if you agree with me. Give me a fire symbol if you agree with me on this, okay? That after the Mike Tyson fight, you thought he was a fraud. I thought for sure he's just WWE. He's just making stuff up. I think he took the Fury fight, the Tommy Fury fight, to prove his credibility as a fighter. He's actually for real, okay? Therefore, he can create more memorable events that people are going to watch, people are going to pay for, more pay-per-view events. He can draw out more legendary fighters to create bigger events, okay? He's choosing opponents to create events. That's what it's all about. Hey, awesome, Joe. I appreciate it, man. Thank you. And so I think that's where he's at, and I think that's what he's doing. And even right now, like I said, he's booked a massive, high risk, huge risk. This guy's bigger than ever, better than ever, active boxer, against Anthony Joshua on December 19th. That's next Friday in Miami. Again, win or lose, I don't think he cares. I think he cares about the event. I think he cares about the attention, okay? Hey, Sue, how you doing? Good to have you here. Yeah, exactly, Mark. You think so too? Yep, exactly. So he cares about the attention he's going to get for the event. So remember this. Most people, this is the lesson. This is a leadership lesson right here. Most people choose comfort, okay? Jake Paul's choosing consequences. What's going to happen if I go on this path? Not just comfort. None of this is comfort-based, okay? His mindset is warrior mindset, right? He's going all the way like a fighter. And even before, he had a real business warrior and a visionary mindset, really the visionary mindset that what do I need to do in order to create myself into the person that I need to be in order to have the outcomes and become the person and have the image that I want to have, okay? And his vision led him to professional boxing. And here he is. And at first, he was so mocked. Anybody remember? Put it in the chat if you remember. Hey, Sue. And if anybody remembers, remember this, when he was mocked by Pete Davidson in his first, pro fight against Ben Askren. Put that down in there. So the point's this, everybody, okay? Love him or hate him, he's polarizing, right? Jake Paul. You think he's a fraud? You think he's a genius? You think he's a real boxer? He's not. The bottom line is this. It takes real guts to follow your vision. And no matter what you do, you are going to be criticized. You're going to be, questioned. People are probably going to make fun of you. And you're going to have to face some embarrassing situations, especially if you're doing it in front of people, especially if you're trying to market yourself and promote yourself as much as he is in front of the world. The guy can't make a right move in a lot of ways, right? Now, I will say he is pretty damn inspirational and pretty damn motivating, especially to a lot of young kids out there. I'm not going to lie. Young kids flock to him because the cool thing about him, though, is he talks about all the time is don't be afraid to follow your dreams. I mean, it's really inspiring. We're going to see a movie about that in a second here from him, okay? We're going to see something that's very cool in a minute, okay? But here's what a lot of people miss, too, is that you don't get to the level of building this identity and building this new character that he is, right? This professional boxer, from being an influencer, a Disney kid, from being this party animal. You don't get that without, really training and earning it, okay? You don't just get that on vibes alone and acting a certain way. He has trained long enough and hard enough, and with the fight with Tommy Fury, proven he's here to stay, and he's not just doing it for content. He's not just doing it for likes. Like, he's really proven himself that he's in this fight game for real, and he's upending it, and he says, no one's done more than me. Recently, I think he's right. I mean, honestly, I think he is right, okay? So I want to say this. A practical takeaway here, too, is that if you want the Jake Paul advantage or that type of result, okay, without the drama, steal this from him. Take this part from him, okay? Act like the person you're becoming, okay? Before you feel like them. Before you feel like them, before you become them, do the things that need to be done. Behave in the way that you need to behave to become the person you want to be before you even arrive. And when you do that, they're going to give you the job. They're going to give you the credibility. People are going to start to believe in you, okay? Don't wait to win the fight before you act like a fighter. You got to act like a fighter beforehand. Do the fighting things. Do the training. Step up. Take the punches in the face. All those things. All the training before you ever can get the fame and the recognition, okay? It's like I said before. If you want to be a leader at work, you want to be a leader in business, any industry, you got to behave your way into that job before people officially say you're a leader in your industry. You got to behave that way. You got to act that way. You got to do the things that'll get you there, okay? So I want you guys right now, name one skill, okay? Put this in the chat for me, all right? Name one skill you've been thinking about for the past 6 months. What's one skill you want to develop that you've really been thinking about for the past 6 months? Put that in the chat. Let's compare some notes here a little bit, all right? So I love it. I love that mountain music. I don't remember haters. That's nice. Let them motivate you, if anything. Yep. All right. So let's put that in there. You're ready to go as far as Jake. I love it. Yeah. Yeah, I like that he gets in the ring, too. He puts his money where his mouth is, Joe, for sure, 100%. It's wild, right? Okay. Let's go ahead and check out this next little video here. I got another one. that I think is really good. It's going to really tie a lot of his stuff all together for us. Let's check this out here. All right, because we saw he fought Tommy Fury, he fought Mike Tyson, okay? We saw him as the problem child, and here he is with Anthony Joshua. All right, so let's get a look at this monster that he's going to fight next Friday in Miami, okay? I don't know how it's going to go for him, but my hat's off to him. He's a real deal. He's really stepping up to do it. A little bit of a reach advantage. If you guys saw that, he's literally got to be about 6 or 7 inches taller than, he's got to be 6 or 7 inches taller than Jake Paul, Anthony Joshua, okay? I mean, and they're saying he's untested. He hasn't been tested. He's like, I mean, come on. Tommy Fury tested him. Come on. I mean, he's in the ring with Mike Tyson. I know that was a big show, but, I think this is going to be it. This is going to be the real deal. And whether he wins or he loses, I want you guys to notice the spectacle he's creating. He's creating an event, right? To showcase his skills, to get the most attention, to get the results he wants to get. So, like I was asking you guys before, what's one skill you're trying to develop, you've been waiting for 6 months, thinking about it for a year, that you should develop, okay? And what's an event that you can create? You can take a page out of Jake Paul's book. What's an event you can create, right? To showcase your skills, showcase your ability, all right? So take a page out of his book and see what you can do to kind of have that same type of impact, okay? So then you want to choose, if you want a skill to develop, choose 45 minutes a day for 7 days. Have it like a little challenge. 45 minutes a day for 7 days, same time, same place, the same setup, and do it and get it done. Build that skill. Challenge yourself, all right? Like a fighter. So I want to say this too, though. Seeing that production machine he has, you see, again, the connection with Netflix. You saw the production. You saw the event. You see the hype around it, right? This is all him. This is him and his machine. But you got to understand, Jake Paul, as you're going to see in the next video, he is not a lone wolf. He is a system builder, okay? Whether it's fights, it's promotion, it's content, it's product. He builds teams. He tells stories. He builds partnerships. He builds distribution. He has a system. He has a team around him to produce the content, all those things. So remember this, okay? Team is greater than your talent any day of the week. You got to build a powerful team. If you want to go far, you build a team to take you there, okay? You want to go fast, you can go alone, but you're not going to go as far as when you have a team. You want to go far, you build a team. And that's what Jake Paul does all the time. And remember this, systems matter more than just your motivation and your willpower. Build a system with a powerful team, okay? I don't care if your team is of one, of two, of what, but if you take nothing else away from Jake Paul, build a team around you to help you to get the things done you want to do, right? And then your distribution system. How are you reaching people? How are you scaling? Are you using social media? What are you using, right? Make sure your distribution system should be more powerful than just your personal perfection on things, okay? Remember that, because the more shots you have at it, the better chance you have at success every time, okay? Let's watch this next video. There's another great one on him, and it really tells a bit more of the story. I was leading you guys up into this point where we get to this longer story on him a little bit that's going to paint a picture of pretty much his whole untold story and how he went from a social media sensation to a professional boxer and this amazing promoter today. All right, so let's check this one out. This is definitely a good story, and we'll break this up into pieces here. Here we go.
I never was like social media is the new wave. I was the wave. Driving a bit, right?
Yeah. I think that'd be a good short form clip. Yeah. And then maybe like we do like another intro like in the house.
It's up to you. I'm down for whatever. Like I don't really care. I've been in this game since I was 16 years old. People watching me.
Yo, get the off the property, bro. Don't get off my property.
Every single move and living my life under a microscope. I was before everyone else doing it.
We're only the best vloggers rise to the top.
Hey, do you guys notice his content team around him? Do you notice he's shooting the content, even if it's like a fake event, just like a little prank, but he's he has a team around him that's doing the stuff with him. That's the point. So pay attention to these little things that we're talking about for what you can take away from this, right?
Only the Jake Paulers can take out every YouTube channel on the platform because we are the most lit YouTube channel. Good morning, Jake Paulers, for real.
because it's what I love doing.
Logan just hit me with I bet you $5,000 you won't jump in.
At first it was a joke in real life, but now the camera's up and we're vlogging.
$5,000.
I was there when we created the word influencer. I was in the room.
Find what you do well and
kill
go.
it.
That's
Kill
like focus on your thing and rock it, dude.
And dab on them haters.
And dab on them haters, and then buy yourself a Lambo.
I've always known it was a powerful tool. You know, I was on camera, 17 years old, saying that influencers going to take over the world in every single industry.
Are you ready for the start? First start ever. 3.
So what I want to say here, guys, really quick, okay, is that if you hear what he's saying some of the things like influencers are going to take over the world. And he's talking about, brands, right? How individuals, because of social media, because of these tools we have, are taking over a lot of business roles that traditional big businesses would have in the past, okay? So you need to understand what a savvy businessman he is as well, too, and how media savvy he is. All the stuff he's doing is to get your attention, to hold your attention. So learn that lesson about marketing too, is whatever you're trying to do for your career, your business, anything, how can you get attention for your service, your product, your business? Then you see this with Jake Paul and what he's doing. He talked about it right there. I always knew it was a powerful tool. And I always knew that I thought influencers would pretty much run the world at some point. I mean, look at our president, President Trump, reality TV star, right? He's, a powerhouse businessman for sure before this, but then he was an influencer more or less, right? He had his own TV show. He had all his books, all the speaking events, and he parlayed that into politics and went after it, okay? So wherever you're at in your own journey with media, with marketing, even if you don't do any of it, okay, you having that understanding can help you in some way in your personal life, in your business, and whatever it is. If you want to get more attention, you're trying to sell something, start a business, right? Grow a business, all those things, okay? So yeah, right. No, you're right, Joe. 100%. People are watching him because he wants to be watched. He's engineering the whole thing. He wants them to watch him, right? Exactly, 100%. But that's the point. Is that how else can you engineer something that you want to put attention on as well too? Just saying that. That's a great example of it. Is that you can engineer that type of attention as well too, just like he's doing it. All right, let's keep on watching this thing. It's a good study, definitely, in who he is and what he's got going on in his life. Here we go.
2, 1. Mom, Dad, I love you.
Somehow Jake Paul has this magical quality to be able to make things come together just by manifesting them. He's like, one day I'm going to be the #1 YouTuber and social media guy in the world. And one day, maybe I'll get in the ring and become a great boxer. And his brother's like, maybe one day I'll fight Floyd Mayweather. These things that could never happen in reality are happening in reality.
Don't let anyone tell you can't chase your dreams, guys. Seriously.
You see, and like I was saying, it's because of things like that, with him saying things like that. Don't let anybody tell you can't chase your dreams, guys. Okay, that he just said, don't let anybody tell you you can't chase your dreams, guys. It's reasons like that. It's as much of the punk stuff as he's done and people don't like him. When he puts his money where his mouth is and he gets in the ring to chase his dream, he's taking the shots in the face like Sylvester Stallone said in Rocky. You're the one taking the face shots. You're the one going through the pain and the hardship in order to achieve his dream and create his reality. It's inspiring. It's inspiring. And you think, man, if this guy could do it, who is an influencer, who's a YouTuber, who was a Disney kid, then why can't I? Okay, why can't I at any stage in life? Why can't you, right? So I find that inspiring as well, for sure. All right, Joe, we'll see you. But I think it's it's important. Definitely inspiring. Let's keep on going on this.
Bro, I've seen it all. Okay. Seen it all, bro. In celebrity years, I'm 100. That's a thing now.
Yeah.
Dog years, celebrity years.
Mm-hmm.
I'm 100. I'm always evolving and trying to become the best version of myself. Really, boxing has allowed me the space and the discipline and routine to figure out who I truly am.
Like giving him a round off, like you going around and letting him come, but he wants you to go at him.
We started with my kids saying that they want to go by Jake's house in Hollywood. And we was like, well, we're not going to go by Jake's house. And they're like, no, there's kids and people outside waiting to see him all the time. So you can go by there. And he loves boxing. We went by there and he looked at me, oh yeah, bring him in. So I walked in and met Jake. That was pretty much the beginning of us connecting with each other.
Shane Mosley is a Hall of Fame fighter. He has an incredible legacy and his name.
All right, so here's something I'll say, right? If you're going to do it, you got to get the best coaches, the best advisors. When Jake Paul did this, okay, and he decided I'm going all in on this, he got the best coaches, the best advisors around him. Shane Mosley, right? A world champion, champion boxer, professional boxer. He got him to be his coach, to be in his corner, to set up his training. He has a whole training team, a gym. He's insanely dedicated, okay? And this something this documentary, this little show won't talk about is that he actually had a drug and alcohol problem too. He partied so much, he had so much success early on with this YouTube, and he had no real rules, that he said he started to get into some trouble with drugs and alcohol. And the boxing really saved him in a lot of ways, taught him discipline, taught him a routine. And he said as much as he's doing boxing for business and for, attention and for all these things that I'm talking about, I'd seen another interview with him where he said the boxing really has saved him in so many ways. It's given him discipline, given him routine, given him a focus. He has a better life now because of this grind and because of this focus and the mission he's on. So again, you ask yourself, what mission are you on? Do you even know a mission? Do you have a mission statement written for yourself? What are your driving, compelling, powerful goals that you're driving towards, right? These are some of the things that come to mind when I watch this. And, and it makes all the difference in the world for sure. So, yeah. And so I think, it's there's a lot to be learned here. Okay. I see some of the stuff. I see Becky. Strange how one can become a frat boy without ever going to college. Yeah, right. I mean, you're right though. He was like the original frat boy, right? Even though it wasn't a frat boy, he was. And the boxing really, really honed him and harnessed him. And the challenge and the focus is required for the training and getting into the ring, right? Knowing that you have a due date, you have an event coming, really focuses your attention, especially if you could be embarrassed on the world stage or get beaten up or get hurt, right? So, like they always talk about, if you want to get in shape, schedule some type of competition, some type of event for yourself. If you do that, it's going to hyper focus you, whether it's a marathon, it's a 5K, it's a bodybuilding competition. Maybe it's, it's some type of fitness contest, right? Something like that. You're going to take a photo shoot and show it to people, right? Things like that will really focus you and harness you. Yeah, for sure, Mountain Music. I think his greatest quality is his belief in himself, and then he backs it up with a ton of work, and he builds real systems and great teams around him as well too. But I agree with you on that for sure. All right, let's keep going. This is actually a really good little documentary about him. There's a lot of inspiring stuff in here, so let's keep going on this.
Being attached to Jake Paul, it does give him a little bit of validity, and it will at least let us know that Jake Paul is going to take this seriously, because Shane Mosley doesn't play.
But in terms of knowledge and what he knows about the sport, Shane is phenomenal. I think it won't hurt a training camp, having a guy of that caliber in your training camp.
He's telling me being in the ring with a world champion, you get better by osmosis, and all the little tips, tricks, and intricacies of the sport I'm able to pick up on because of him.
Yeah. The first thing is the willingness to be a fighter, to be a real fighter.
So again, there's so much gold in this little video, okay? Like the willingness to be a fighter. You hear what he's saying, right? The first thing is the willingness to be a fighter, the willingness to do the work, the willingness to sacrifice, the willingness to step into the fear. Really, there's so much gold here for all of us to take away and to learn for our own lives. And for our own lives. And I want to say this as well, too. You hear what Jake said, how being around a championship fighter, a champion fighter, you learn by osmosis. All of a sudden, it just, starts to sink in just by being around them, okay? Again, surround yourself with great people. Surround yourself with great people. So why is Jake Paul doing so well? He keeps getting better. He's challenging. He's going against harder and harder people. Tommy Fury beat him on a decision. He knocked Tommy Fury down, a real fighter, right? Tyson Fury's brother comes from a great bloodline there, all right? And so Tyson Fury, world champion, heavyweight champion of the world. And so you see the system he's got, the teams he's got. And I'm not even talking about the marketing to promote the fight to make the money. He's got that down. He's a master of it. But now he's applying the same principles into his training to give himself credibility as a real fighter. But why? He wants to be taken seriously, so he gets bigger fights, bigger audiences, bigger draws, bigger purses, more money, all these things. But I think ultimately it's to become the person he wants to be, which is he really wants to be a real boxer, a real contender, and fight real people for his own personal identity. And that's why it matters so much the way you think about yourself and the vision you have of yourself. Okay, I do this with my coaching clients all the time, my one-on-one clients, and also in my community, my coaching community, my membership. We talk about the vision you have of yourself. How do you picture yourself? What is your identity? It matters more than you know. Jake Paul's vision, as you said, their Mountain Music, his vision, his belief in himself is so powerful. And then he goes and he does the things that matter. All right, let's keep watching here, okay? A lot of great stuff here.
Willingness to do that. It takes a lot of guts and courage.
It's almost like a relief to have the loss out of the way, because like I've already dealt with what my worst fear was.
That Tommy Fury fight alone really qualified him as a professional boxer to me. You can't discount that performance. And the fact that he lost and he's picked himself up and he's going again. I have a lot of respect for the guy.
Oh, nice left from Jake. That was a big shot. This is looking really good for Jake Paul right now.
I mean, check this out. He knocks out Nate Diaz, legendary MMA fighter. Now, Nate Diaz is a great Brazilian jiu-jitsu artist too, but tough dude who can also stand up fight. He knocks him out.
Goes Nate Diaz! The problem child beats the gangster. Bouncing back from his first professional loss against Tommy Fury. Jake Paul said, I've been working on everything. And I will knock out Andre August.
Andre needs to be careful about ducking down.
Wow. Another pro fighter knocks him out, takes him down, right? The training's serious, the dedication's serious, the fights are serious. Okay, let's keep on going here. This is amazing. But before we keep on going, all right, we're gonna talk a little bit more about old Jake here, okay, and what we can take away from this. So, I want to say, the thing is with Jake, he built a machine, right? In the beginning, he built a content machine. He built a media machine, okay? He knew how to get people's attention before, like I said, before Mr. Beast was even doing this stuff. He was the master on the Vines, on YouTube, everything. And then I think he had so much success so early, he kind of lost it, went crazy, was partying a lot. And this is his own words when I saw a documentary on him. And the fighting focused him. It was the next thing that he wanted to become. He matured. He had to train. He had to sacrifice. He had to be serious. He had to face his fears. You face fears on a daily basis as a fighter, right? People coming after you. Put your money where your mouth is. You have to actually do the things you say you're going to do. And so, but if you're a creator, a coach, an entrepreneur, whatever you are in your career, in your business, you don't need more willpower. You need a system. You need a machine. Trust me on that, okay? You need one pipeline. You need, if you're a content creator or a coach, you need one content pipeline. You need one sales pipeline, okay? You need one training pipeline and one feedback loop. It's the same thing as a fighter, okay? He needed, a training pipeline. He needed a coach. He needed a feedback loop, as he's fighting people. How is he performing? What are the coaches telling him? Is he winning? Is he losing? All those things like that. So you can implement the same things into your own life too. for sure. And so the thing again with Jake is you got to remember, he definitely creates those events. He's looking to create the events. Most people just try to do a little something. They might never even promote themselves. They might never even talk about what they're going to do. He puts his money where his mouth is, like Conor McGregor, and says, I'm going to do this. And he creates an event around it so that we all go to watch it. Okay. So the events are memorable. The stakes are high. It forces attention. Okay. He is polarizing for a reason. He wants you to love him. Or he wants you to hate him. He wants all that. Okay. There's something to win, something to lose every time. He puts a date on the calendar, all those things like that, right? And so this builds up attention. It builds up intensity. And you have to ask yourself, do you have an event coming up for you? Do you have an event coming up for yourself that'll help to harness your energy, harness who you are to make you perform at your best and focus you, right? Or are you just kind of drifting? So just like a fighter, if you put a date on the map by June, I'm going to do this thing. I'm going to do this challenge. I'm going to do this fight. I'm going to produce this. I'm going to write this. I'm going to publish this, whatever it is. Okay. By June, and you put pressure on yourself, you announce it publicly and people know about it, and you have some skin in the game, and there's either there's reward, there's, pain, or there's pleasure, right? One or the other. You're either going to get a payoff for it or you don't. That's going to force you to actually take the positive action. This is positive peer pressure for you. It's positive pressure. All right. So ask yourself and put it in the chat. What's your next event? And not a post, not like, you're mentioning something, not a maybe, but what's your next event that you're going to do? Okay. You can even put the date in there if you've got it, or something you plan on doing, what you're going to do. Maybe it's a marathon. Maybe it's like I said, a 5K. Maybe it's a bodybuilding contest. Maybe it's a business event. You're going to launch a business. You're going to launch a product, launch a service. What is your next event, okay, that you're going to do? So take a look at that and understand the impact it'll have on your life, the positive impact it'll have. All right, let's check out the rest of this. Let's watch a little bit more, and then we will be moving on. A little bit more with Jake Paul, and then we're moving. And we're going to be moving into the Epstein files next, so stay tuned for that. There's a lot of bombshells to be dropped, a lot of stuff going on there. But let's keep watching this and get as much as we can out of this Jake Paul story.
Really make it up. The problem child strikes again.
I almost feel free now. There's just no nerves. And I think with my new team, different preparation, everything's at a much higher level.
Right now, he's very sharp. This jab is getting a lot better, what you need. Right hands, left hooks, where you're supposed to move.
Hey, you see that feedback loop? That's what we were talking about, right? He's got a feedback loop. He's got the coach looking at specific ways that he can get better. If you don't have a coach, you don't have a mentor, I'm telling you, and you're not taking any courses, any certifications, any skills, you're not reading, you're not studying to get you better. You got to do it if you want to level up, okay? Jake Paul's got this feedback loop. This guy knows what it takes to get to the next level. Little tiny details of his jab, of his hooks, of his footwork, of the way he commands the ring. He talks about this, okay? And again, that's that feedback loop that I'm talking about that will make a big difference for you.
Move when people move. Right hands, left hooks, where you're supposed to move. When people move a certain way, you move this way.
Hands in the air, hands in the air.
He's understanding the ring generalship of the boxing.
Yeah, you feel good, baby. Work. You feel good.
Which is a lot better now. His IQ is better.
Let's go, Jake. There you go. There you go, Jake. There you go. That's what I was telling you about. That's what I was telling you about. Integrity is everything. That's what I was telling you about. Good work, baby.
All right. So we can see he's ready to rock and roll, and again, I think, remember, it's like leadership, in my opinion, isn't soft. It's your ability to hold pressure and to perform under pressure, okay? And your ability to influence others, to set the example, so many things, okay? And whether you like him or not, he's demonstrating real leadership at this point, okay? He's being a leader, first of all, of himself, but also of his system, of his process, of his machine, okay? And he's setting the example for a lot of people. You also have to be able to have criticism tolerance. Can you tolerate criticism? Because there's going to be a lot of criticism. When you're doing things that other people haven't done, they're going to come after you. Jake Paul can definitely do that. He can take the heat and keep moving. He takes ownership as well, too. If he flops, he retools, he retrains, he gets better, he fires it up again, and he's going, all right? Belief projection. We talked about this. A leader must have vision. You got to have vision, okay? People follow certainty, even when they doubt the person. If he believes so strongly in his vision, okay, he believes so strongly in his performance and his outcome, you're going to start to believe in him. You're going to think, okay, he believes in himself. He really does. He's going to be more, you have more people want to follow him. You're going to want to follow him more. So you got to take a look at yourself and say, how am I believing in my vision? Do I have a vision? Do I have a plan? Do I have a mission? All these things like that. It matters so much, okay? Because here's your leadership question. Can you stay consistent when people misunderstand you, when they misrepresent you, when they criticize you, when they try to, talk trash about you? Can you stay consistent? That's one thing with Jake Paul. He was being ridiculed, being put down. What did he do? He doubled down his effort. He went more in when they were saying, you're not a real boxer, you're not a real fighter, you can't do this. You beat the first guy was washed up. It was fake. It was fake for years. It was fake. They took a fall. You paid him just to lose. Now he's fighting real people. He's proving that wasn't fake, okay? So again, because if you can't maintain momentum when you're getting criticized, getting shamed, getting put down, okay? People are misunderstanding you, okay? Your potential will always be capped by public opinion and public criticism, okay? Of your peers, the people around you, on your team, stuff like that, okay? Now, I want to say, Jake Paul's not perfect. That's not what we're saying, okay? So here's what not to copy. Don't copy the worst parts of him, okay? Some of the traps here. Controversy addiction. I said he's very polarizing, right? He polarizes you one way or the other. You don't want to make controversy so much your thing that it becomes a drug. Attention becomes a drug, okay? I think you can use the polarizing effect, stand firm in what you believe, but if you're always pushing controversy, it's going to come back to you. The negative energy is going to return to you, okay? Ego-led decision-making is next. You want to make sure, don't always lead with your ego. Make sure you're leading with facts, with principles, with values before you make those decisions. And then fake confidence. I don't think Jake Paul has the fake confidence. He's putting in the reps to actually make it happen. But if you're one of those people that's acting like you have confidence when you don't, you're faking the funk, okay? It's going to hurt you. Remember, real confidence is usually quiet, okay? And if you notice Jake Paul now, he's more quiet than he was in the past because he has real confidence. He has real receipts, right? He has real proof that he can do this stuff. And so confidence is built in the dark. It's built through repetition. It shows up on command because you have the skills and the abilities. And you notice the character arc in him. He's a little more confident now than he was. He's more confident than he was before, but he's a little more quiet now too, if you notice that. All right. So we talked about Jake Paul. He was kind of our headliner today, but we are going to jump into the Epstein files here. Okay. We got a lot of bombshells to drop, and we got a huge rest of the show. A lot of stuff to cover. Okay. From the Epstein files to Russia, Ukraine, to, President Trump's decisions. Also, not just in Ukraine, but in Venezuela, everything happening with Venezuela right now. All right. So we're going to get on with that in a second. I'm going to answer some questions in the chat. What do we got in the chat here? Okay. Lisa, you're at the gym. I see that. Let's see here. What else we got? Yeah. Maybe he is talking to me. You're right. It sounds like my heart for sure. Okay. Oh, I see. Oh, Becky, yeah. Every time Ben mentions writing, I always assume it is directed at me because I occasionally, yeah. So narcissistic. Well, I just know it's a performance art though, right? Writing is not easy. Anybody that's tried to be a writer, it takes a lot of discipline, a lot of skill and all that stuff. So I know it takes a lot of discipline. It's not easy to do, to see that vision to completion, okay? So driving there now. I appreciate you still listening, Lisa. Awesome. Don't get in an accident. Appreciate you texting back. All right, everybody. Put a fire, give me a little fire symbol if you guys are ready to see what's latest going on with Epstein and the Epstein files. Give me a little fire symbol there so I know you guys are ready. And we're going to get on this and we're going to crush it because there's a lot to cover, okay? There's a lot of craziness going on there. And we are going to do it. But I want to make sure you guys are ready to rock and roll on this because I definitely am. And it's a little unbelievable. I shouldn't say that. It's not so unbelievable anymore. It's just, it's nuts. It's nuts, the stuff that's going on. And, and We're going to see some things from Wolf Blitzer and CNN. We're going to see some things from Nancy Grace. We're going to see some things from just some random person that got a hold of the emails, all right? Some things in the emails. And then, we're going to see reaction from President Trump as well, too. Some things we've seen before. All right, Mark, awesome. Thank you. Let's go, Mountain Music. Let's go. Let's go, Lisa. The Buffalo accent, was it with the fire? Fire. Let's go. Here we go, Nick. Let's do it. All right, everybody. Epstein, the plot thickens. Here we go. The plot is thickening. Stuff is happening. Let's turn to Wolf Blitzer right now and find out what's happening here. Because it turns out, okay, the House released like 20 or 19 or 20 more photos from the Epstein files. But even more, there have been some emails that have come out. Stuff is coming out. And I will say to you, apparently, they are redacting a lot of the files right now. Never before has something been so redacted as what's going on. So I think we as the American people, we deserve to know what the hell is going on with this, okay? I know like Marjorie Taylor Greene pretty much left politics or resigned because of her demands for the Epstein files to be released, okay? Is that right, Nick? You had one of your teammates from Buffalo? Oh, yes. Buffalo Bills are very important. I was going to go do Josh Allen this week, but he might come next week. We'll see. All right, let's watch this one because there's a lot. Honestly, I didn't know about it until I did the research for this show. So I'm hoping you guys are catching your news from me as much as I'm entertaining you as well, too. But I'm hoping this is a great great one-stop shop where you're getting everything all at once. So let us see what is happening according to old Wolf Blitzer, all the way back from the Gulf War. I remember him. Here we go.
Democrats on the House Oversight Committee are releasing brand new photos from the estate of the late convicted sex offender, Jeffrey Epstein. And they show powerful figures like President Trump, Trump advisor Steve Bannon, and former President Bill Clinton. None of those released images depict any sexual misconduct, nor are believed to depict underage girls. It was not immediately clear when or where they were taken or by whom, for that matter. I want to go live right now to CNN anchor and chief White House correspondent Caitlin Collins, who's been working the story for us. Caitlin, what are we learning from these new images?
Well, this is some reporting I've done with my colleague Annie Grayer, and basically what we're getting and what we're seeing being released today are photos from the Democrats on the House Oversight Committee. It's from Jeffrey Epstein's estate, which has been turning over emails and other records of his from his life. This latest production is over 95,000 photos that he had on his computer, on his email server. And basically what they do, Wolf, is just reinforce and shed new light on the extent of the many powerful people that were in Jeffrey Epstein's orbit. I mean, you can see this when you look through these pictures, and they're available to scroll through in our story on CNN.com right now. And there are people including the current president, President Trump, former President Bill Clinton, Steve Bannon, Bill Gates, Richard Branson, a lot of these people that we knew had been linked to Jeffrey Epstein in the past, Wolf. But basically, this is just showing new angles of those relationships. And they're incredibly personal photos in some of them, and others, they're a bit silly. Some, it's kind of hard to even explain what you're looking at. We've published the ones that we've been able to online, though. And basically, they just show all the high and powerful people in his orbit. Well, there's one where it's got Bill Clinton with Epstein. There's one that includes Steve Bannon, who, as you remember, was a huge advisor to President Trump in his 2016 campaign and also worked for him in the White House. And they're just really remarkable images showing what Jeffrey Epstein's life was like before he became ensnared in all of this trouble and when he was eventually, of course, charged and indicted for sex trafficking young underage women. And I should note, Wolf, as you noted, none of the pictures that we're releasing today that we've gotten our hands on show any sexual misconduct. We don't believe any show any underage.
All right. So clearly he was very connected to a lot of powerful people. We already knew that, right? We already knew that about him. So what is new here? Well, I was thinking what is new is that this is 19 more photos, I believe, of thousands that were on his personal computer, thousands that were on his hard drive. Personal emails are being released, but they're redacting. They're redacting like crazy, meaning they're deleting names, deleting, information from the files that are supposed to be released, I believe, December 19th. Before December 19th, they all have to be released, okay? And so, why is that important? Well, it's important because I don't know if we're ever going to get the full scope of what happened there, right? I mean, we want to make sure that this doesn't happen again. And for this not to happen again, we need to make sure that people that are in this world that are doing these things, that believe they can get away with these things. And this is going to get more disturbing. Trust me, it's going to get more disturbing. I'm going to show you more. Okay. And people that believe that they can get away with these things, that they got to know they can't get away with them. And that's it. That's the only way. That's why it's important to know all this stuff. Not to mention, obviously, it's disgusting and, we need to put a stop to it. But we got to figure out who is behind it, who was there, who knew, okay? All those things. So very, very important. But put in the chat what you guys think. Put in the chat if you guys think that, if what you think about the situation. But if you think that we are going to be able to bring people to justice based upon the release of the Epstein files next week from, even the redacted version, put it in the chat. Give me like I don't know, some type of fire symbol or, or a fist or a muscle symbol, something like that. Put in the chat if you guys think that we're going to actually be able to get people to justice from this next week. And if you don't think, give me a thumbs down. Just give me a thumbs down in the chat if you don't think we're going to get anything out of this. If we're not going to, if it's still going to be drug out, if the redaction is going to hide people and nothing's going to come of it. But put that in the chat. I want to see. Okay? And then we'll keep on going here. So I've got another little video we're going to watch. Another one that paints a pretty interesting picture here. Interesting, disgusting, actually. Yeah, Jasmine, that's awesome. I think you're right. I think you're right, Jasmine. I think we will. Yeah, Mark, I think we will too. Yeah, I think you're right, Mountain Music. Oh, Mark, you don't think so? That scares me. Everybody, that scares me because, Mark, I know your background. Retired law enforcement officer. But, Mountain Music, I think you're right. Eventually, I think the truth will come out. I think they're working on it right now. Yeah, Becky, I think you're right. That's a great point. Sue, you say no. You say no. It's concerning, right? I mean, it's really concerning. We got 50%, 50-50 right now. We get Jasmine thinks so. Mountain Music thinks so. Mark says no. Becky says in the middle, cutting deals, so we'll find things out, but maybe it'll stay hidden from public eye. Then no from Sue. And this is why people are upset. Frankly, this is why I'm featuring this, because I think it's crap, I think if we know about people that are doing these crazy things, you guys remember the dentist chair from last week? You remember the masks and all this stuff, right? Yeah, it scares me that Mark doesn't think so. So let's watch this. And if you're fired up about this, if you're already fired up, you're going to get more fired up right now, okay, from this one. I know this fired me up seeing some of this, so let's check this out. All right. Here we go. Okay.
These women are suffering for the rest of their lives over what was done to them on Lolita Island.
Anybody in these powerful positions have to do is say enough is enough, release the names, release the information. The public deserves to know.
Breaking news tonight. Epstein's creepy dentist chair on his island revealed, and if that doesn't send a chill down your spine thinking of those little girls in a dentist room on a dentist chair on island alone with Jeffrey Epstein. Another bombshell tonight as damning emails emerge implicating everyone from Prince Andrew all the way to high-ups, wealthy, successful individuals within the DC stratosphere. I'm Nancy Grace.
All right. So what I want to say too is, it's just absolutely crazy what she's talking about here. And you guys remember the dentist chair and the masks and all those things like that. But there's so much. All right, we'll just keep going. I won't stop it. Let's keep going.
Within the DC stratosphere. I'm Nancy Grace. This is Crime Stories. I want to thank you for being with us.
And what I do want to mention is this is only released 3 days ago. Okay, so this is new. This isn't something old. This just came out, and I know she's very dramatic too, but she's got a lot of good points, a lot of good info, very well researched. Let's keep going.
Jeffrey Epstein, may Epstein rot in hell, pled guilty to solicitation and procurement of for girls as young as 12 years old were flown to Island. Will there finally be justice for Epstein victims? Well, the so-called Transparency Act, the Epstein Files Transparency Act, has passed, but are there more delays and smoke screens? Is it just a big hoax? Listen.
The Epstein Files Transparency Act passes the House in a nearly unanimous vote and heads straight to Trump's desk for approval.
What did Jeffrey Epstein mean in his emails that you said you knew about the girls?
I know nothing about that. They would have announced that a long time ago. It's really what did he mean when he spent all the time with Bill Clinton, with the president of Harvard, you know, that is Summers, Larry Summers, whatever his name is, and all of the other people that he spent time with.
Sir,
Yeah,
if
Jennifer,
there's
go
nothing
ahead, go ahead.
incriminating in the file, sir,
Quiet, quiet, begin.
Okay, I don't like politics, but I can take.
I mean, I don't mean to laugh, but that one always kills me. I'm going to rewind that. When President Trump says, quiet, quiet, piggy. He actually said this, okay? Because she kept hounding him about the Epstein files and saying about Epstein, the fact that Epstein mentioned him in his email saying he knows about the girls. Okay? I mean, crazy stuff. But let's hear that again.
Sir,
Yeah,
if
Jennifer,
there's
go
nothing
ahead, go ahead.
incriminating in the file, sir, why not take us
Quiet, begin.
Unbelievable.
Okay, I don't like politics, but I can tell you this much. If I know about Jeffrey Epstein stating that Trump knew, quote, about the girls, then Trump knows about it. So that's deflection at its very best. Victoria Churchill joining us, U.S. political reporter for DailyMail.com on the Epstein scandal from the get-go. It's more than a scandal. This is about on a worldwide scale. I want the perps behind jail, and I don't care who they are. Why is Trump lying about that? I don't know. Is it because he was friends with Jeffrey Epstein and he thinks it tarnishes him, or is it more? But he is right. People associated with JP Morgan, with Harvard, appointees within the DC political circuit, they're all going down. Marriages being destroyed, people leaving their jobs, resigning their positions because.
So this is like, again, this is like major bombshell stuff. And, I personally, I don't know if people are actually dissolving their marriages or leaving their jobs. I don't know. But as these lists hit, you're going to see a lot of people being pushed out of positions, pushed out of jobs. We're probably going to start hearing about indictments. We're probably going to start hearing about, like you said, Mark, there'll probably be some kind of a financial crime they'll nail on them. But all except for Jeffrey Epstein himself probably won't get pinned with something, as bad as a sex crime. Okay. Yeah, there are so many influential and high profile people involved. Yeah, I don't know if we'll ever know the whole truth either. I think they're going to fight, bite, and scratch, and they're going to really fight for their lives over this. But, they're releasing little bits here and there. From what she's saying, from Nancy Grace is saying that actual lives are being destroyed, right? I mean, marriages are being dissolved. People are getting pushed out of positions. When this thing hits next week, I think it's going to be a pretty damn big deal. Yeah, Lisa, I think you're right. We should let the indictments fly. I mean, this is like the worst kind of thing, right? This is the worst nightmare thing. And as I said last week, if you don't think that someone else has this blueprint and they're doing it too, you're wrong. And you're going to see, I'm going to put some more stuff out there, right? We could have spent the whole night. We could have spent the whole show just on this, but that's not what the show is about, right? We're trying to upgrade our lives and trying to learn from people that are actually doing something positive out there, and challenging themselves, not crime story. But we also need to take a look at the dark areas out there as well too. So you know the pitfalls, we know what's happening, so we can form a strategy for our own lives around those things as well too. And also, where there's smoke, there's fire. If you know someone seems shady, you don't want to associate with them. You want to keep away from them, right? Because as Jake Paul said about his boxing coach, you learn by osmosis just by being around such a champion. Well, you're going to learn by osmosis by being around a scumbag too. So limit your time around the people like that. That's for damn sure. So, yeah, you're right. I think so too, Mountain Music. We're going to see, though. I will say, never before in the history of information flow has there been something like YouTube where, you know, we get together like this and we discuss and we chat. We have a community where we talk about the news and we present the news and look at it, and it's interactive, right? It's always just, you know, big news channel pushing it out to you. You have no chance to interact, no chance to discuss it as a community, like a town square. This is like the town square, and we're talking about it. So put in the chat what you guys think, though. Again, give me, tell me what you think. If you think that we're going to see a lot of people going down for this, or if you think it's going to be hidden away, or something else. Is there another option that I'm not seeing? But let's watch some more of this right now. She's got a really great work, and I've got some other stuff to cover on this as well too, and we will. Let's keep on going here. But tell me in the chat what you guys think. All right, here we go.
Cause of Jeffrey Epstein. Do I care? HELLNO. Don't care. I want the people, girls as young as behind bars, like all the other criminals that aren't rich and politically connected. What's happening? What's happening with the release of the documents, Victoria Churchill?
Yeah, absolutely. So Congress passed, particularly on the House side, the Epstein files. Every single member of Congress, except for one, voted for the legislation.
Who is that guy? Who is that? Who is this dude who said, no, don't release them? Suspicious a little bit. I mean, what do you think? Who the heck is who is the guy who said, the congressman said, no, I do not agree with releasing the Epstein files? No, the one dissenting opinion. What kind of nutball is this? Suspicious, right? He's got to be on the list at some point. Unbelievable. All right, let's keep going here. I couldn't help myself on that one.
And then it actually kind of snuck its way through the Senate. They did a legislative move called unanimous consent, where they didn't actually kind of vote on it by voice or by recorded vote. It just passed because it had passed so overwhelmingly in the House. Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer was able to do that unanimous consent provision and pass that bill, sending it to Trump's desk. Trump signed it. He signed it.
Okay, so these things actually they're showing. Let's rewind this a little bit. These are, I think, a list of people who were actually on, I think within, had connections to Epstein. Connections or had visited the island or something like that, okay? Because you can see Trump Organization, a lot of different people. Obviously, he's got a big organization. Howard Wilson Houseman, Brunel, Jean-Luc Brunel, Jimmy and Jane Buffett, Jimmy Buffett, Bull Bartle, and then it goes on. I think the Cuomos are on here. Kennedy Cuomo, right? Okay, let's keep going.
Behind closed doors, which I think is notable because this is somebody that loves the signing ceremony in the Oval Office. He loves to bring people that are related to whatever legislation he's signing in. However, those Epstein victims did not get their visit to the Oval Office. And so that's kind of a contrast that we're seeing between the Oval Office versus members of Congress. Of course, Ro Khanna, the Democrat, Thomas Massie, the Republican, were the leading people that led the charge on this, and then as well as Marjorie Taylor Greene, who has now announced that she's resigning after her very public clashes with Trump over the last few months, particularly on this issue. And so this legislation compelled the Department of Justice to release the files, but some of this footage that we're seeing now was actually preemptively released by Democrats on the House Oversight Committee, and these files dropped. Of course, were made public, made national and international news because people implicated in these files, knowingly implicated in these files, stretch not only in the US, but also in the UK. But one thing that I thought was notable is that Thomas Massie, during that last Epstein victims press conference that happened right before the vote on Capitol Hill, Massey actually said that the UK has done a better job dealing with the people related to Epstein in these files, of course, notably Andrew. And I will correct you, Nancy, he is now no longer Prince Andrew because he's been stripped of his title. And so
I
Massey's
know,
actually
it's force of habit. It's
All right. So you see a lot of things are moving here, right? You know, we're going to see if we're going to actually get justice. I've got another thing here to talk about. But again, it's just, it's unbelievable. To me, it's just unbelievable to think that, you know, they're going to redact so many of the names that are on there. And I've got another article about that too. Another video we're going to watch. Okay. But, you know, the insane thing is that you see some of the names of the people that are involved that were there, and whether anything happened or not for some of the people. You know, I know in the past I'd said I didn't think President Trump, you're going to find that he did anything, right? And I think that's not in question. But with this latest email that came out, the email where he called the reporter Quiet Piggy, where she was questioning him, this was a few weeks ago, I guess, that the email came out saying that, you know, Trump knows about the girls, right? That's concerning. Now, obviously, they have to figure out what girls were they talking about. Was it specifically the underage girls? Maybe that's why he threw him out of Mar-a-Lago, which I think was part of the reason why, but we shall find out. But it's not just President Trump. There are a whole lot of other people involved that knew something or that were somehow connected. So we're going to see what happens next week for sure. But let me see here. Becky, you said you reacted to this the same way the Nickelodeon documentary. Details are shocking, but it's not shock to find out these things are happening. Yeah, I know. It's unfortunate, right? As it goes higher and higher, Mountain Music says people will want to cut their losses 100% on that. I agree with you. The bank statements will reveal for sure. Yes, you are right. And it's surprising, but these are in. Watch this next one I'm going to show you. Speaking of that, not just bank statements, emails. These people are sending emails about these things. Okay? They're actually sending emails about this. Check this out. Check this one out. This is another thing talking about actual emails that are being sent, which is nuts to me.
There is this chilling email exchange between Jez Staley, who was a senior executive of JP Morgan Chase and then went on to be CEO of Barclays. And Staley, these are emails that came out in 2010. Staley writes to Epstein, "That was fun. Say hi to Snow White." Epstein, "What character would you like next?"
I mean, can you even believe this right now, right? I mean, you can believe it. I know that. But I'm saying it's appalling, it's chilling, it's disgusting, you know, because what they're finding out is that they use these Disney characters to be like the secret names of the girls. Okay? So let that hit you for a minute. This is a senior leader at JP Morgan or Barclays or somewhere. I'll rewind it a little bit. Okay? Who's saying this?
Daily, Beauty and the Beast. Epstein, well, one side
rewind
to
a little.
Epstein. "That was fun. Say hi,"
I'm gonna rewind
and
a
then
little
went on to be CEO of Barclays, and
Okay.
who was a senior executive of JP Morgan Chase and then went on to be CEO of Barclays. And Staley, these are emails that came out in 2010. Staley writes to Epstein, "That was fun. Say hi to Snow White." Epstein, "What character would you like next?" Staley, "Beauty and the Beast." Epstein, "Well, one side is available." Now, there's all this reporting that Julie Brown had that they used these Disney characters as code names for the girls. And when you listen to that exchange, I found that completely chilling.
Yeah, I mean, I'll be honest with you. I didn't know any of this until I did the research for this show. Okay, that all these little details, like Julie Brown, the reporter, done all this research, and that found out they use Disney characters' names for the code names for the girls. I mean, it's crazy, but it sounds like this was an international ring of people that would go there to have, you know, relations with underage girls, and he was the purveyor of this. It's just crazy. And so let's just finish
As
this up.
code names for the girls. And when you listen to that exchange, I found that completely chilling. What character would you like next? I mean, your mind starts to go to places you wish it didn't have to go to about the way that these men and what are going to happen to the girls in this situation. There is.
Okay, so put it in the chat if you guys think that. Put in the chat what you think. Okay, do you think this is going to touch not just politicians, but it's going to touch like senior business executives all over the world. And do you think that this is accurate reporting? Put it in the chat. Do you think this is accurate reporting that really, that she's telling the truth about this, right? That they're using code names for these girls. Just give me a fire symbol if you think if you think this is accurate. It's true. I do. I give myself a fire symbol. I think so. Yeah, even easier to track emails. That's right, Mount Music. It's insane. Yeah, and it's gross, but not a huge surprise. Right. I don't know. I don't know if it reaches there. Right. It's disgusting. Disgusting, Lisa. I know. But that's where we're at with this thing, and this, yeah, I agree, Mountain Music, for sure. But had you guys heard this before? Tell me, yes or no. Had you heard this before? That they'd use Disney characters for the code names for the girls? Had you ever seen this? I didn't see this. This is just when I researched for the show, I found all this out. Yeah, I think so too. C.D. Meyer. And again, my eyes are going at me, so I can't exactly read off my phone. Let me see. I know I got to get glasses. Jasmine tells me I need to get reading glasses. 100%. Yep, I think so too. I think it's nuts. It's absolutely nutty. But let's keep on going on this, okay? Unfortunately, there is more. There is more. And then we'll move on. Okay, here we go. We're going to turn to Chris Cuomo on News Nation here and see what he has to say.
We're a week from release of the Epstein files.
Okay, so we're 1 week away. You hear what Chris Cuomo's saying, whose brother Andrew Cuomo was actually on Epstein Island, but Chris wasn't there. Okay? Anyway, I like Chris Cuomo. But let's keep listening. I digress. Here we go.
We're a week from release of the Epstein files. And a group of survivors working with the Senate Judiciary, Democrats, wrote a letter saying, hey, we want an independent review. We're worried that documents may have been tampered with, the chain of custody. Look, I feel for the survivors. They deserve the clarity. There's no way this was about one man and one woman and nobody else knew anything. But we all know the answer to this. Let's bring in former FBI special agent and CIA officer Tracy Walder, because I had her on the show to give you the answer to this. You told me on this show, my friend, you've never heard of this big of a redacting operation going on. That's the answer to the question. They are absolutely going to have reason to say, wait a minute, where are these documents and how come I can't read this? I mean, is there any chance that this is satisfying?
In my opinion, Chris, no. And I agree with you. This is, in my opinion, all about the victims and what I believe that they deserve, which is clarity, just like you mentioned. And yes, I do believe that redactions are important for ongoing investigations, protecting the names of minors, those kinds of things. But we've talked before, these redactions were completed in March. So why don't we know about them now? Why have they been held on to?
This is crazy to hear. The redactions were done in March. They're still holding on to it. They're always like secrets within secrets, lies within lies, all these things like that. It's honestly, it's unbelievable. I say it's unbelievable. It's believable. It's very, very disappointing. It's very frustrating, As I heard it said a long time ago in the Marine Corps, is it justice or is it just us, right? And it's, your average citizen would be crushed for this, right? And so you hear of a conspiracy at the highest levels that is allegedly touching the highest levels, okay, around the highest levels of business, of industry, of politics, of everything, society. And we can't get a clear picture on it for obvious reasons, as we're all discussing, Let's keep going.
For so long. And I think that plants these seeds of doubts, and rightly so, in the victims and in everyone else's mind.
What ongoing investigations, though, Tracy? They're not going after anybody else.
I don't know. I don't believe that they are going after anyone else, but I don't know if there's other financial crimes that they're looking at and those kinds of things, because things like that can come from these investigations. I doubt that they will, but again, I'm not certain in this case.
Where's your head on this? So Thomas Massey says that he was given a list. Representative Thomas Massey, for you guys at home. Tracy knows everything. He was given a list of 20 alleged co-conspirators, let's call them. These are men and or women who knew. Not that they did things, but they knew things about what was being done to people. There is, in my opinion, zero chance that that list comes out because if it is anywhere, it's in the depositions that were sealed by federal judges in the civil cases, which is not part of the Epstein files, and people keep not being told that. If it doesn't come out in the release, which again, I don't think it can, do you think Massey has a legal duty to release them himself?
That is such a hard question to answer, Chris, because you're right. They are sealed from those civil cases. I personally, not as an FBI agent, I personally believe that he does have a duty to release those because those are individuals that could have been involved in child trafficking, in pedophilia, those kinds of things. And I do think it's in the public's best interest to know that information. But from a legal standpoint, I'm just not sure if he can.
Wow, that's unbelievable. Now I'm getting way out over my skis here on this thing that I don't even, really fully understand. But I do know one thing, and Mark, you can probably comment, and tell us all about this. But when they seal the court documents, they seal this. No one's going to see it. So the judge knows, the lawyers know, the case they know. But when they seal all this stuff, I don't even know if they get punished. I don't know what happens, or or as one of you had mentioned, if there's some type of plea deal that's done and then it's all kind of washed away and no one knows about it, right? And maybe they pay a big fine. Maybe they do some type of time. I'm not sure. They pay penalties, but no one's going to know about it. And more or less, something of this magnitude of, sex trafficking, human trafficking, they're basically getting away with it. It's absolutely insane to me that, this is happening. And even crazier is, like I always say, where there's smoke, there's fire. Then even crazier, this is just the tip of the iceberg. How long has this been going on for? How many things don't we know about, right? For so long. I will tell you one thing we don't know about. We don't know about aliens. We're going to find out, though. We're going to find out in a little while. So stay tuned for that for sure. I got a good little alien segment today, okay? More stuff that's out there, that's real, that we don't know about, and they've been trying to hold us back from knowing about, okay? And we're going to find out more because they're learning more and more about that too. Okay. So absolutely insane. Yeah, Sue, they probably use Disney names to keep them from revealing the children. Yeah, exactly. Plus to influence the kids who want to be like, yeah, I mean, you might be right. You might be right. Yeah, I think you're right about that, Sue, for sure. Yeah. Right. Mario Cuomo was pretty damn amazing governor too. Okay, let's keep on from I remember him being the governor of New York as well, Lisa, right? Let's keep on going on this, okay? And then we'll close it out. Watch a little bit more on this, and then we're going to move on.
I think that legally he's going to have a problem, but morally he should be willing to pay that price. They're always talking about what hill to die on. If not this one, which he should have never said he had the information if he didn't want to make it public. Tracy, you're the best. Thank you for just making it plain to everybody so they know where we're headed.
Okay, that's finished. All right, crazy stuff, very creepy stuff all the way around. But we're going to find out, next Friday, they're going to release more of these files. They have the redacted files. They're going to release more stuff, okay? More photos, more files, more of everything. And we are going to learn a whole lot more very soon within a week, okay? And hopefully I'll try to report on it next week during the show as well, too. Let's keep on rolling. But first, before we keep on rolling, we are going to hear from our favorite sponsor, the Ben Pappas Company. You guys, I know, are excited to hear from Ben. And today, I'm actually going to take you on a little tour of my coaching membership and community. If you haven't seen it yet, I've got some people that are members in the audience here, but you're going to check this out. And I'm going to show you exactly how to navigate this thing, okay? So I'm going to go ahead and share my channel, okay? And I'm going to show you how to do this. So here's what we do. You're going to go in here into my channel. You're going to click on more. This is my channel. And if you want to get to my link for my coaching membership and community, here's what you do. You go in my bio, you click on more, right? It's going to show you my description. Ben's a retired Marine Corps Lieutenant Colonel. And you're going to scroll on down past my bio. There's my email, ben@benpappas.com. There's my website, benpappas.com. And go to membership and community. Okay, here we are. We're going to click on this. And boom, my coaching membership and community page comes up. Unleash your warrior, become unstoppable. That's me. Okay, if you haven't been here yet, you got to visit it. I'm very proud of the work I put together, putting this all in place. There's a lot of great info, okay? You scroll on down, and that's what it's all about in the Ferocious Optimist community and membership, okay? When you work with me as a client, you're unleashing your warrior, becoming unstoppable. There's a video. We're going to play this in a second, a little video here, turning pain into power, go inside Ben's membership and community, okay? And then we're going to go ahead and scroll on down, and you can see here how you can join my elite coaching membership and community, okay? You can join now for $87.99 per month. You can also go annual and get 2 months free. That's $879. Okay, you can do that as well. And then you can scroll on down. And then you can see even more. Let's see here. I don't know if it officially worked or not, but I'm going to, hold on. I'm going to shift you guys over because I think it didn't take all the way. Let me get you over there so you can check it out. Okay, here we go. All right, so once you go there, this is what it looks like. You come inside Ben Pappas coaching membership and community. Now you can see it. Awesome. Thank you. Sue, I hope your comment for very creepy and sad isn't about me and my website. All right. So you scroll on down. Okay. And you see I have a little video here, turn pain into power, go inside Ben's membership and community. Okay. And you keep on scrolling. Join Ben's elite coaching membership and community now. Join for $87.99 per month. Or go annual and get 2 free months for $879 per year. You get 2 free months free there. Here are some testimonials. Working with Ben has been life-changing. Choosing to work with Ben on my personal and professional development was the best decision I've made in a long time. If you're looking to tackle life's challenges as a ferocious optimist, Ben is the only choice. It's difficult to describe in a few words the many ways that Ben has influenced my life. He has provided me with the tools to overcome a key challenge in my life, give me the confidence to face whatever is coming with completely different mindset. Very cool. And I have, some things that this is all about, right? Achieve that dream, build that unstoppable mindset and powerful habits, gain clarity and confidence, overcome stress and fear, get unstuck, learn to lead and take charge, okay? And so what do you get? You get live monthly coaching with me and a Q&A to help you reset, refocus, and realign. You get weekly accountability and challenges to keep you moving forward. You get a powerful, positive community that won't let you quit on yourself. And you get unlimited replay of sessions, downloadable tools, and slide decks to create lasting change. Okay? Unleash your genius, build an unstoppable mindset. It's time to stand up for yourself, especially right now before the new year coming, okay? And again, there are 2 ways you can do this. You can do the payment plan of $87.99 per month. That's the annual group coaching membership and community. You get immediate access to entire group coaching sessions and presentation library with unlimited replay. Right now, there are already 10 months of sessions in there, so you're getting a whole vault full of material that you can devour as fast as you want to create faster change for yourself, faster transformation. And then every month, you're going to get a new coaching session with me on a private Zoom call with the group, okay? Also with a long Q&A of about an hour. We all see each other. We hear each other. It's fantastic. If I go ahead and click this, let me see if that shows up. Okay, I click on the payment plan here, the $87.99 per month. Okay. And here's what that looks like. Okay. And you can see here, monthly payment plus group coaching membership. There's a little video you can watch as well too. And this is how you complete your purchase right here. It tells you some more about it. And here's some more testimonials as well too. Since I began coaching sessions with Ben, I have made incredible improvements in both my professional and personal life. If you want to become a better leader, work with Ben, another one, okay? This is a life-changing experience. So a lot of testimonials, all real people. You can go to my LinkedIn where I have a lot of testimonials also as well too. But you complete your purchase here. It gets you all set up and you're ready to rock and roll. And then you'll get an email on how to join the community. And we're going to watch a little video and go inside of that as well too, okay? I definitely think it's worth taking a look at for sure, okay? So again, how you get there is you go inside my description in my YouTube right here, go inside membership and community, click on that. That's going to open up and it's going to take you right to my page. And let's see if that shares. If it doesn't, I will redirect it because I'm not sure if it worked last time. And I will just redirect it really quickly. Okay. Here we are. Okay, and then check this out. I'm going to play this little video for you guys. This gives you a great look inside my coaching membership and community. It's only a couple minutes long. Just check it out, watch it. If you've been interested in working with me and interested in my community, my Ferocious Optimist community and membership, take a look at this video. It's going to explain how everything works. You're going to take a look inside it, and then we're going to get back to world news with Russia, Ukraine, and then President Trump, what he's doing in Venezuela, and then we're going to get into Bitcoin, what's happening in the economy in Bitcoin, and then also talk about UFOs, aliens, leadership lessons of Southpark, and all that stuff. But just take a couple minutes here right now and check this out. All right, everybody, welcome. So glad you decided to click and learn more about my coaching membership and community. I think you're going to get a ton out of it, okay? This is the place we're going to help you to make a breakthrough from where you are now to where you want to be, to go ahead and get ahead in my ferocious. Well, let's see if it actually is playing for you guys. I don't know if it's going to play, but I'm going to try and get it to play. There it is. Okay, good. Here we go. I'm going to restart it. Check it out. Here we go. All right, everybody, welcome. So glad you decided to click and learn more about my coaching membership and community. I think you're going to get a ton out of it, okay? This is the place we're going to help you to make a breakthrough from where you are now to where you want to be, to go ahead and get ahead. And my Ferocious Optimist community is going to be there along the way to support you, help you grow, help you stay on track, help you keep your mindset strong, help you to get back off the ground if you get knocked down at any time, okay? And it's a great supportive community that's going to be there for you, whether you have questions or you need support. You get the challenges, weekly and monthly challenges after the coaching session. Then there's a coaching session, the live coaching session each and every month. That's going to go for about an hour. Then plus Q&A, I stay for as long as you want to stay there for Q&A, usually about 30 or 45 minutes afterwards. And I post all of that in the members area and in the community. So let's go ahead and check this out right now. Let's jump into the members area and take a look what it looks like inside. So you get the actual experience of what it's like to be a member inside my coaching membership and community. Here we go. All right, you can see this was session 1 right here, the live coaching call with me. And some of the notes I have here to please download the Membership Success Path PDF and review it. Click resources button to access. So let's do that right now. Okay, and this is my Membership Success Path. Okay, this is how I describe to you exactly how I want you to succeed and the change and transformation that I want to see you make. Okay, the different stages you have to go through in order to have achieved the objectives that I want you to achieve within the membership. So you'll know when you've achieved everything you need to achieve within the membership, all the way through stage 1, 2, 3, and 4, until you're absolutely in orbit and you're mastering life. Okay. And so it's not just like an infinite membership. You can stay as long as you want. Hopefully you stay for your lifetime, but there definitely are objectives that I want you to meet. Okay. And I clearly define those. And I walk you through in session 1, which you can replay anytime you want. I walk you through in session 1 just exactly how we create that transformation and through the success path and what all of those goals and objectives are along the way. So let's go ahead and take a look at this right now. Okay, you can see here, this is the coaching membership. As I'm doing a coaching session, using a presentation to coach from as well too. Okay, and then the Q&A, of course, afterwards. All right, and we'll jump into the next month. All right. Session 2, here's some of the notes. Topics covered: daily morning routine for focus and energy, daily planning and execution. Okay, let's jump inside the coaching call itself. This is the Q&A towards the end. And you can see here we are talking about different focus areas, going through the actual presentation. You can see I'm coaching in the little window up here. Okay. So this is what it's like inside the actual membership when you do the live coaching call with me. All right. And then the great thing is that you have unlimited replay. You can replay this as many times as you want. Go in here, the membership. Let's say you didn't understand something. You go ahead and click in here, go ahead and check it out, and then go inside the resources button, and you can actually download the PDF, the presentation, the PowerPoint presentation I used. Here's session 2 that I used to coach from. Okay. I try to use some humor in there as well too. It's a great time. We have a fun time. All right. I don't think any other coach does this where they give you the actual presentation that they're using in order to create the transformation in the coaching call. They don't give you the presentation that they're using to coach from, to teach from. But I do that for you because I want you to be able to go back. I want you to go back and be able to replay this and learn as much as possible. Okay. So that's one of the great things about this membership is that you have unlimited replay in the video, unlimited replay in the presentation, as much as you want. Download it, look at it. You're going to get downloadable content such as the Success Path PDF that's in there. Also a discipline and habit tracker, among other downloadable content that I post from different sessions. Okay. So in a nutshell, that is it within. All right. Hopefully you guys got a lot out of that. Got a peek inside of, I thought instead of me talking to you guys for, a few minutes, I would just actually show you. I'd show you actually inside my coaching membership, my community. That way you can actually see what it's like, know what it's like, and you see the real people that are in the membership and the community. A few of you might see yourselves in there, and then we just go from there. So any questions, feel free to go ahead and DM me on Instagram. You can write to me at ben@benpappas.com as well too. You can put a comment here on YouTube and we can link up, or you can book a no-fee strategy and discovery session with me in my YouTube bio. Okay, that's there for you as well too. And we can get together and we can talk, right? So whether you're watching this live right now or you're watching on the replay, again, that's what the coaching membership looks like. That's what the community looks like. And if you want to go deeper and you want to learn more, you want to create a transformation, you want to have that accountability circle, you need a coach in your corner, go ahead and check that out. Again, I showed you how to get there in my YouTube bio. Click on the membership and community. It'll take you right there, and you can choose an option. You can watch the video. You can also book that no-fee strategy and discovery session with me. All right, everybody, here we go. If I haven't said it yet, like, subscribe, comment. Let's get it going, okay? And share. We're about to enter phase 2. I should say we are entering the second half. We're still in the second act. First act was Jake Paul. Second act is breaking U.S. news and world news. We're going to keep on going. We got Russia, Ukraine coming at you right now. Let's go ahead and let's open up and see what is going on here with Russia, Ukraine. A lot of crazy stuff happening again with our good buddy Vladimir Putin, who is threatening the entire world. And let's check it out. Here we go.
U.S. and Ukrainian officials wrapping up talks in Miami yesterday as Russia fired more than 600 drones at Ukraine. This comes as Russian President Putin is threatening to take over the Donbass region by force if Ukrainian troops do not withdraw. Stephanie Bennett is live in London with more. Hi, Stephanie.
Hey, Mike, to put things into perspective, President Zelensky released some new numbers. Just this week alone, Russia has launched more than 1,600 attack drones, 1,200 guided aerial bombs, and almost 70 missiles across the country. Now, nightly Russian attacks, they have become a regular routine. Many residents have been cut off from electricity, water, and also light. U.S. Special Envoy Steve Witkoff, President Trump's son-in-law Jared Kushner, and Ukrainian negotiators said they made progress this week, meeting 3 times in Florida, but said any real progress toward an agreement ultimately will depend on Russia's readiness to show serious commitment to long-term peace. Speaking at the Reagan National Defense Forum, outgoing U.S. Special Envoy for Ukraine, Keith Kellogg, said efforts to end the war are really close.
You realize the last 10 meters to objective is always your hardest. That's where the friction of war really sets in.
deal depends on the two outstanding issues, including territory, primarily the future of the Donbass region, and also Ukraine's Zaporizhzhia nuclear power plant, Europe's largest, which is under Russian control. President Putin warned that Russia would take full control of the Donbass by force unless Ukrainian forces withdraw. Zelensky is saying he's not giving up any territory and that Putin is just stalling. Despite Witkoff and Kushner spending 5 hours at the Kremlin last Tuesday, Putin's top foreign aide was quoted by Russian media today saying that the U.S. would have to make serious radical changes to their papers on Ukraine without disclosing any details. And patience is wearing thin. At an event in Qatar today, Donald Trump Jr. said the U.S. can't keep funding the conflict.
I don't think Ukraine is going to be abandoned, but I think for years, again, it was the same thing as the last answer, which is, well, we want to attack Russia. We want to do this. Well, when it comes to actually writing a check ourselves, no, the U.S. is going to do it. The American public doesn't have an appetite for that.
And President Zelensky will be here in London tomorrow.
All right. So you see what's happening there. Okay. And obviously, the war is intensifying and, Putin is basically saying they're going to take the Donbass region by force. And the Donbass is that area that was in red in the video. Okay. And so I can pull that up again. Just to make sure we all understand that. But that area that was in red in the video, that's on the eastern flank of Ukraine, that's the Donbass region, okay? And, I can pull that up for a minute again, just to make sure that we all saw that, okay? Just pull that up one more second here. Okay, so this is basically the Donbass in red, all of this, as I understand it, okay? And so this is what they're saying they're going to take by force. But the only problem is that they've been having a lot of resistance. They have like this little fortress area in here as well, too, that's been causing a lot of problems for them. So that's this is what's being contested right now. And part of the peace plan, they're saying that they want this as part of a full stop. If Ukraine gives up the Donbass region, then the war is over. Putin has said that a few times already. Okay. And so it's no, we didn't go over UFOs yet. UFOs are coming. Don't worry. We're not at the UFO section. We're still in the U.S. News and world politics news right now. Okay, and international news right now with the U.S. and war and all that stuff. We'll get to UFOs and aliens pretty soon. So that's what the area that's in conflict and in contest being contested right now. And again, what Putin said, he said that if Ukraine gives up the Donbass, then the war ends. He said that before many times. Okay, so very crazy stuff. Again, the casualty rate is insane for this war, okay? Absolutely insane. It's unbelievable how many casualties. I believe in Russia it's well over 1 million casualties. In Ukraine it's several 100,000, but it's at World War II levels, okay? That's the level where we're at right now with this conflict. And so let's watch this next video really fast. Let's get a better idea of the Russian side and what they're doing to take back the Donbass, as Putin says they're going to do. Here we go.
The war ends if Ukraine cedes the Donbass. That has been Russian President Vladimir Putin's claim ever since peace negotiations began. And he justifies that request by claiming that the Donbass is going to fall sooner rather than later anyway. The numbers seem to support him. According to some sources, Russia controls 88% of the Donbass, but not all is as it seems. Far from being on the verge of falling, the Donbass is set to provide Russia with its biggest test yet in nearly 4 years of warfare. Putin tried to break Ukraine in the Donbass. He failed and ended up breaking Russia instead. Not that you would know that if you listened to Putin and the US negotiators trying to force through a peace plan for the Ukraine war. The question of territory has been the main sticking point in every attempt to declare any sort of ceasefire or peace since US President Donald Trump and his administration began negotiations. Putin demands the entire Donbass if Russia is to withdraw its forces, while Ukraine stands firm, stating that it won't hand over the remaining portions of the Donetsk and Luhansk regions that make up the Donbass for free, United 24 media reports. Putin's maximalist approach to peace negotiations isn't likely to change, as Russia's leader wants to create the perception that his country is winning the war. Perception is reality in Putin's mind, even if the situation on the ground doesn't quite match up to his many claims. Among those claims is that Ukraine ultimately has no choice when it comes to the Donbass. Putin made that much clear on December 4th, which is when the BBC reported on comments that Putin made about the Donetsk region. Either we liberate these territories by force, or Ukrainian troops will leave these territories, Putin blared, which tells you everything you need to know about the picture that Russia's president is trying to paint of the Donbass situation. The US appears to have started taking a liking to that particular picture. AA reports that the US is actively pushing for Ukraine to leave the Donbass, thus giving Russia everything that Putin wants. The outlet quotes an unnamed European official who says, Americans insist that Ukraine must leave the Donbass, one way or another. This push comes even though Ukraine still holds 30% of the Donbass region, including parts of Donetsk, which, as you'll find out in a moment, is going to be far harder for Russia to take than Putin wants the US to think. As for why the US is making the push for Ukraine to cede its territory, the European official had some ideas. Maybe Trump also wants it to happen fast, so his team is forced to explain to him they are not the ones to blame for why this is not happening as fast as he wanted.
Okay. So again, the big thing here is that obviously, what are we trying to avoid? We're trying to avoid a major foreign war, okay? And again, as Don Trump Jr. said in that video, that the United States is footing the bill for a lot of the resistance that Ukraine has put up against Russia, okay? And so, I mean, at stake, though, geopolitically, is that we don't know if Russia plans on making another move once the dust settles, you know, to actually seize more territory, right? Like, look what they did. They took Crimea. They annexed Crimea. They didn't think that the Ukrainians were going to resist them. They took it. We didn't do anything about it. There was no fight. They took it, bloodless battle, seized it, no fighting, limited fighting, very little. And then they began the gray zone operations into the Donbass region, into Ukraine, and eventually invaded full force, right? And so we don't know if 4 years from now they do it again and they make another big push, or they invade Poland. Because I'll tell you right now, Putin gave a 48-hour ultimatum to Poland, okay, saying that basically Poland has to comply with what their demands are, or else they're going to invade Poland too. Or they're going to, you know, maybe not invade Poland, but they're going to attack them. Okay, so there's a lot going on behind the scenes that we don't know about. And I know we want to just say we don't want to get involved in a war, but, you know, this is very high stakes right now, very, very high stakes. And so on the other hand, we definitely want to have peace. We don't want to have Ukraine give up any territory, but who's going to kick Russia out? That's the thing. They've tried with the drones and all those things like that. And so, you know, I mean, put it in the chat what you think, but put it in the chat if you think we should keep on fighting, that Ukraine should keep on fighting to, you know, gain all their territory back, or should they try to get peace and just leave it where it is right now? They keep whatever they got and they leave it where it is for right now. Put in the chat what you think. Again, this is a tough problem. There's no really right answer for this. It's just, you know, you take a look at what the resources are, what resources are at stake, who's going to help them, what the United States' strategic interests are, what Russia's strategic interests are, right? This is right in their backyard. What for Ukraine as well, too. Is it better to, you know, call for peace, sue for peace, and end the war and give up some territory? Or is it better to keep going, keep fighting, and, you know, lose more people and cause more, and also risk total collapse? You don't know, okay? And while generals on the Russian side have said that they've already lost this war, we don't know that. We don't know if all of a sudden, you know, they have a total another surge. You know, maybe oil prices go up and they get their coffers filled with more money. Their war chest is increased. They're able to fight longer than we thought, right? There's always the fog and friction of war. So, yeah, I mean, Mark, I think you're right. Ukraine eventually probably will, but maybe Russia will too. I don't know. But I think you're right. In a war of attrition, Russia can outlast them without our help, without European allies' help, but especially without the United States' help. It's hard. Nobody wants to see someone get attacked and have their territory seized. But at the same time, after 1 million people are killed on Russian side, several 100,000 on the Ukrainian side, I mean, this is insane, right? And if the territory is already, you know, possessed by Russia, I don't know. I mean, Ukrainians are going to have to make up their mind of what they want to do. But the United States is making up their mind. It sounds like we're making up our mind as an administration, the Trump administration, that, you know, we need to get peace and stop funding this thing and stop spending so much money on this war. Okay, and let's watch some more. There's more to be said here, more to be had, more to be discussed. Okay, a little bit. Check this out. Okay, so this is what Ukraine has done recently about the war. This is a pretty damn good video that depicts Ukraine striking back.
Take out Russia's energy and Vladimir Putin's war machine collapses. That has been Ukraine's philosophy for much of 2025, and one into which the country has thrown itself even further during the latter half of 2025. Strike after strike has taken out oil refineries and other facilities, with the occasional attack also targeting Russia's war centers such as air bases. These attacks have been escalating in size and effectiveness. Now Ukraine has just launched its most impressive strike of all. In a great night for Ukraine, the country's biggest strike of the war has hit many targets and has made Russia burn. That's according to a December 11th report by the Kyiv Post, which says that the armed forces of Ukraine launched both its largest and widest-reaching series of kamikaze drone strikes overnight in an operation that goes down as one of the most impressive of the entire war. Ukraine delivered an early Christmas present by sending 300 of its long-range drones hurtling all over Russia, some accompanied by cruise missiles, to strike a host of different targets across a 2,000-kilometer or around 1,240-mile stretch of the country. Among Ukraine's targets were several oil refineries, several airfields, and, in a first for the Ukraine war, an oil rig located in the Caspian Sea. Ukraine also sent drones in the direction of Moscow, but all was not as it seemed with that early attempt at a strike. The Kyiv Post reports that Ukraine launched about a fifth, or approximately 60 of its drones at Moscow. However, the outlet also later contradicts itself, claiming that Ukraine actually sent more than 100 drones Moscow's way, which would account for about a third of the total launched. Regardless, those drones didn't have any specific targets. Instead, they arrived in the Russian capital and began circling.
Okay, so now this is really sneaky. I love this right now. So check this out. Pay attention to this, because this is telling you, I mean, as we're saying, you know, Ukraine may run out of people, right? They may actually run out of the ability to fight because it's going to run out of troops. But Ukraine's fighting a lot with drones too. These are produced at home. These are Ukrainian drones produced at home. Watch how sneaky they do this. We saw the strikes, right? We depicted the strikes of the drones down in Russian territory. I'll rewind that really quickly so we can see it. But then you see what happened first, right? That was the strike, the big hits. But how they did it was they distracted Russia by sending a drone fleet. I think they said 60 to 100 drones up to Moscow. And watch what they did. They went up there and caused havoc. They didn't attack anything. They circled around as a group to trigger the air defenses. They locked the airports down. They caused all these flights to be canceled. The people got upset. All the people in Moscow had to go to air raid centers. Okay? They caused mayhem, a huge distraction. And then, while they got their eyes looking up there for all the command and control people, okay, all the headquarters, all the leadership, they struck down those targets that we just shown a minute ago. Then we're going to show that again really quickly so you get a better understanding of, you know, what was happening. Okay? And because it's kind of a cool graphic and I want to show you guys. But check this out, okay? So while this happened, okay,
Ukraine delivered an early Christmas present by sending 300 of its long-range drones hurtling all over Russia, some accompanied by cruise missiles, to strike a host of different targets across a 2,000-kilometer or around 1,000.
Okay, so while this one's going on down south, right, while this main attack happened, he's doing it out of sequence because, first of all, the attack to the north happened, then they did this one, okay? So he's doing it out of sequence, but I like to do things sequentially, explain to you guys that. First of all, he went north. They went north up towards Moscow, okay? So this is the second part of the attack. Let's keep watching, okay? Just to make sure we all understand what happened.
1,240-mile stretch of it.
So 300 drones, 200 went south, 100 allegedly went up north to Moscow.
Country. Among Ukraine's targets were several oil refineries, several airfields, and in a first for the Ukraine war, an oil.
And you can see there in the orange is the Donbass region. Okay, that's the orange. The orange is the Donbass region. The blue and yellow is Ukraine. These are the oil refineries, kind of the center of power for Russia, the center of their resources to help them carry out the war. Then up north is Moscow. That's where they sent the deception plan. So check this out.
Located in the Caspian Sea. Ukraine also sent drones in the direction of Moscow. But all was not as it seemed with that early attempted strike.
Now you see early attempted strike. So I don't know why he showed this out of sequence. First, they went north where we're seeing right now. Okay, they went north to Moscow to trigger the air raid sirens, to put everybody in shelters, cancel the flights, get them distracted. Then they struck down south. So that's really how it happened.
The Kyiv Post reports that Ukraine launched about a fifth or approximately 60 of its drones at Moscow. However, the outlet also later contradicts itself, claiming that Ukraine actually sent more than 100 drones Moscow's way, which would account for about a third of the total launched. Regardless, those drones didn't have any specific targets. Instead, they arrived in the Russian capital and began circling, triggering a massive air defense response to shoot them down. Moscow reacted exactly as Ukraine wanted, as the drones forced local authorities to issue a general warning to the city's residents to head toward air raid shelters. Plus, 4 of Moscow's airports were placed on lockdown for between 8 and 10 hours, leading to thousands of passengers being stranded after between 130 and 200 flights were cancelled. None of Ukraine's Moscow drones hit any targets, and that was the point. This initial horde of drones was used by Ukraine as a distraction to keep Russian defenders busy as the other 240 or so drones that Ukraine sent into Russia headed toward their targets. It was a brilliant decoy strategy, not least because Ukraine knew that Russia had to take any drones heading in Moscow's direction very seriously. Not only is Moscow the home of the Kremlin and often the location where Putin is most likely to be, but Ukraine has also hit Moscow several times in the past. March 11th saw Ukraine attack the Moscow region in what the BBC described as the biggest Ukrainian airstrike up to that point in the war. A couple of months later.
Okay, so we see Ukraine is still striking back at Moscow, all right? And so I want you guys put in the chat what you think. Does that, like, Mark, for example, does that change your mind in what Ukraine can do, okay? Because they just had a big win this week, even though Putin's stomping his feet and pounding his fist saying, we're going to take Donbass, we're going to do it by force, and everyone's giving them pressure. They're still very effective with their drone warfare, with the strikes with their drones. And if they keep on making infrastructure attacks against their oil, do we think that that will make a difference, right, in the war? I don't know. I think personally it would. It would make a difference in the war. But so Russia, instead of having their infrastructure destroyed and their oil reserves, getting jeopardized, they're probably going to have to make a push to seize the Donbass, like Putin's saying, by next week, sooner rather than later. Otherwise, risk total, real problems if Ukraine is this effective with the drone warfare and the drone strikes, okay? All right, moving on here. Let's keep on going. And let me see what I have next for you guys. A little bit more from Russia, Ukraine. One last little video here to check out Ukraine and European leaders discussing the peace plan. Here we go.
Actual NATO membership. I mean, you've studied Russian behavior for decades. I mean, would Russia accept that? And would something like that actually deter Putin from coming back for more later?
Well, I think it depends very much on the nature of these guarantees. And I think we have to be careful with the word guarantee here, because what does it actually mean in practice? I mean, security guarantees always depend on the quality of your armed forces, first of all, then of your political relationships with allies, all these things. But quite understandably, the Ukrainians are saying, look, if we have to give up some territory, and effectively, Zelensky is accepting that he's probably going to have to do that, even though he's claiming that he's going to have to put this to a national referendum, that in return, from their allies, they do receive something reliable in the form of security assurances. But at the end of the day, I think it's going to be down to the Ukrainian armed forces to be Ukraine's ultimate security guarantee. And here, in fact, the assistance of Ukraine's allies is extraordinarily important, because it is going to require building up the Ukrainian army, making sure it's properly equipped, properly trained, and in a position to fight if it absolutely needs to.
Yeah, so Mark, to your point, they're talking about building up the Ukrainian army, how crucial this is. This expert is saying, that how absolutely crucial is they build up the Ukrainian army to be able to resist, because the drone warfare, you're right, can only take them so far. So great point. I see what you're saying. It changes your mind insofar as the timeline that Ukraine runs out of its infantry. Yeah, I hear you. All right, let's keep
That will
going.
then be an effective deterrent position to fight if it absolutely needs to. And that will then be an effective deterrent. And I think the Russians have learned one thing from this war, which is that their assumption that the Ukrainians simply wouldn't have the will to fight, which seemed to them to be the case in 2014 when they annexed Crimea. That's on this occasion proven to be completely wrong. The country has mobilized very effectively. It's kept the Russians at bay now for nearly 4 years, and the losses inflicted on the Russian side have been absolutely colossal.
The Ukrainians are proposing a demilitarized free economic zone in the Donbas region where U.S. businesses would be able to operate. Now, Russia...
Now, this is pretty interesting. An economic free zone where U.S. businesses would be able to operate. That's very clever, right? You get U.S. businesses there. We have U.S. interests. Now, less chance for Russia to take the chance to invade in this region or to cause a war because now U.S. interests are there, right? And you're tying the U.S. to the land. They also talked about having a NATO-like protections. I don't know if any of that's going to work, but this is what they're discussing. Let's keep on going.
Has been trying to take control of that region completely for months.
This would mean real, solid, legally binding security guarantees for our country.
So it's not clear how Zelensky's plan is actually being received.
Okay, so real binding security guarantees, you know, does it mean something? It means something insofar as other people believe it'll be enforced, okay? So the moment that Russia no longer believes that NATO matters, or they don't believe in the North Atlantic Treaty Alliance, NATO, that, you know, anything will, North Atlantic Treaty Organization, okay, the alliance, that they won't do anything, they won't even follow through on Article 5, then it ceases to be an effective organization. That's just how it is. So just like power is first of all held in the minds of people. To say you have power means other people believe you have power. How do you prove to them you have power, right? Well, you've got to do things. You got to, you know, prove that you'll back up your words, prove that you'll actually go out on a limb and do things, right? Do we believe Jake Paul is a boxer? Well, he's proving now by fighting people, reputable people, that he's a real boxer, okay? Same thing. Does Russia believe the United States will step in there and defend Ukraine? Well, it just depends. Have we proven in the past that we will, okay? So that's why these security guarantees that President Zelensky wants, they might not be as good as the paper they're written on if Russia doesn't believe in them. And it may just tie us into a war, right? The best thing is when they believe we'll go to war with them, but we don't have to, and it's a real deterrence. But if they don't believe that you're a capable, credible adversary, that you'll actually fulfill your word, keep your word to defend someone, then it doesn't matter. Okay, so it's a very psychological too, what's going on. And NATO risks losing its credibility as a real deterrent to Russia, depending on how we handle this whole situation with Ukraine, how we handle Russian threats to Poland, all these different things like that, okay? The flyovers, violations of airspace, all those things like that. And this stuff matters because the U.S. could start getting pushed around on the world stage, okay? Which leads us to our next topic in talking about what's going on in Venezuela, being pushed around on the world stage. Well, I'll tell you this much right now. President Trump and the Trump administration is not going to be pushed around in the Western Hemisphere, according to what President Trump is saying and what his latest national security strategy even says, okay, where it labels China as not the major threat anymore. But it's really focusing on the Western Hemisphere, on near geographically closer things, and saying that the U.S. will no longer be the world's policeman and propping up the world order like Atlas, okay? We're going to take a look at all that stuff too, okay? This is turning into the Benathon. This is the Benathon tonight. So if you got to get a snack, get a snack. We're going to keep on going. We're going to check out Venezuela and what is going on over there in Venezuela. We just seized an oil tanker, okay? And just how that is actually escalating things for us in Venezuela. What does it mean? Why is Venezuela so important? Why is it still important? Okay, and where are we going with this? In light of Russia, Ukraine, it all fits together, everybody, okay? This all fits together. In light of Russia, Ukraine, in light of China, in light of the economy, in light of, stability at home and in Europe. You have to look at European stability too, European politics. Okay. Do they have the appetite? Do they have the national will as the European countries to fight against Putin? Right? All this calculus has to be done. And so one thing for sure, my opinion is that we do have to secure, this is what I'm saying that I believe President Trump is thinking in the Trump administration. We got to secure ourselves at home in our own backyard. We can't let a foreign threat, China or Russia, have influence in the Western Hemisphere, okay? It's bad enough we have narco-terrorism, bad enough we have, all kinds of drugs and unstable countries there. But if we get powerhouses like Russia, China in there, and Iran, who's been sending drones out there to Venezuela, this will further weaken our position because we have to take our eye off the ball, off Russia, Ukraine, off China, Taiwan, all that stuff, okay? All right, check this out right now. Let's watch this other video, and then I'm going to comment on this, and I'll react to it as it goes, okay? And this is about the seizure of the giant tanker, okay? And I believe these are Marines that did this as well, too, from what a reliable source tells me. Our own Jake Swag, Navy SEAL, old Jake, who is on here, you guys all know Jake, said he believes these were Marine Force Recon that did this.
Welcome to Washington.
Let's
I'm
go.
Brett Baer. Breaking tonight, dramatic new video as the U.S. seizes an oil tanker off the Venezuelan coast. President Trump did not say why, but he did say, quote, other things are happening. The administration has been striking alleged narco-terrorist vessels near Venezuela and is putting heavy pressure on disputed President Nicolas Maduro. Senior foreign policy correspondent Jillian Turner starts us off tonight from the State Department. Good evening, Jillian.
Good evening to you, Brett. President Trump confirms the United States military has seized this crude oil tanker off the coast of Venezuela after insisting for months now that the U.S. is, in fact, at war with drug cartels that are running these boats in the U.S. Southcom region. We've obtained this video that the Attorney General Pam Bondi posted on social media just a moment ago. You can see here during this seizure, she says the FBI, the Homeland Security Department, and Coast Guard executed this operation with support from the War Department. You can see here U.S. service members landing a military helicopter on this vessel before then disembarking and entering. The U.S. had issued a warrant, we are learning, for this crude oil tanker, alleging it had been used to transport illegal oil from Venezuela and Iran in support of foreign terrorist organizations. The seizure comes after senior officials presented the president with potential war plans and then deployed major Navy assets to the region.
All right, so I want to say, first of all, I'll make sure you guys can actually see me here. But first of all, I want to say I've done quite a bit of this stuff, okay? Quite a bit of visit board search and seizure. We call that VBSS. I've done quite a bit of that. Been a mission commander for a lot of those. I've done some of the tactical work as well. So I have a great familiarity with how these go, and these are not easy. Okay. I've also done, there are other types. Ship takedown is something that's more hostile when they have a hostile opposition force. Visit board search and seizure. This is a ship seizure is what they did. That also has a potential to be hostile, but there are different ways of doing it. So these are not easy because the vessels are underway. There's always the danger of someone being armed and start shooting at you while you're getting off the helicopter. Usually there's a heliborne sniper flying around the ship as well too that is watching out. There's usually 2 helicopters circling the ship to look for anybody that's coming out, so you can warn the assault team of a shooter coming up on the superstructure to shoot at you. All these things are going on. You have heliborne snipers that are qualified to take shots from helicopters while they're moving. These are, some of the best snipers in the world that do this stuff. They get qualified in this, okay? And to suppress, usually, are you going to get a hit from that? Maybe, but a lot of the times, the pilots have to be really good too to keep the bird, level and keep the bird stable when they're taking these shots. But a lot of times, you're also trying to suppress any threat to the assault team that's coming down, okay? And the first places they go are to the pilot house to seize the pilot, the captain's area where they drive the ship, and then down to the engine room as well too. So, because usually there's a secondary rudder down in the engine room, okay? And again, so if this was Force Recon that did this, that somebody told me it was, I'm not sure. At first I thought it might have been the SEALs, or it could have been Marine Raiders, but I have been told that somebody believes it was Force Recon that did that. So anyway, that's what they would be doing. It's not an easy operation. But let's talk about why did they do it? Well, they say allegedly that they're delivering this oil to China, number one, and Iran, number two. Okay. That's where the majority of the oil is going. And this is how the Maduro regime is being pumped up. So what they're doing, the strategy here is to choke off the Maduro regime of its money supply of these illegal, as we're calling them, illegal narco-terrorist connected oil deliveries. Okay. And again, I'm saying this is the rationale for it. This is why they're doing it. Okay. So nobody gets bent out of shape saying that I'm saying this is what we should be doing. I'm saying this is what's happening and why it's happening. Okay. It's an effective strategy. It's a better strategy than conducting strikes and blowing people up and bombing things inside the country. I would say you choke off the money, you can cause them to capitulate much sooner. Now, that's not to say that they won't also start striking targets in the country, okay? You choke off the money supply, choke off the oil supply, choke off the money supply, though really is what it is. They have tons of oil there. You choke off their external fueling of money. You reduce the war chest, their ability to fight, right? Their funding. And then you can start doing more kinetic strikes inside the country or threatening so that they make the changes and they give the concessions we want. Now, if we don't want any concessions, we're looking for regime change. It's a whole nother thing. I don't know what exactly they're looking for, but this is definitely a significant escalation in what's been going on. Okay, let's keep going. Let's watch a little bit more here. Put any questions you guys have in the chat. Tell me right now what you guys think too. Is focusing on the Western Hemisphere in Venezuela more important than focusing on Russia, Ukraine? You guys tell me, are we doing the right thing focusing on Venezuela over focusing on Russia, Ukraine? Put it in the chat, or any questions you have in the chat, and I'll get to them as well too. Any questions you guys have, put them in the chat. All right, let's watch this next one and get up to speed and what the hell is going on. Okay. Here we go. All right. U.S. seizes oil tanker. They're going to talk about the legalities of it and just why it was done.
President Trump was asked what they'll do with the oil, and here's what he had to say.
The oil on this ship.
Well, we keep it, I guess.
Where does it go? What port does it go to?
Well, you have to follow the tanker. You know, you're a good newsman. Just follow the tanker.
Do you know where
Follow it. Get a helicopter and follow the tanker.
Is it true it's going to
But we're going to, I assume we're going to keep the oil.
So, Elena, Venezuelan oil is sanctioned, but around 27 million barrels per month reach international markets, particularly China. So how does President Trump plan to crack down on oil exports? And I guess, importantly, because this is his effort, to try and squeeze Maduro and his earnings?
Yeah, I mean, this is a significant escalation, Eleni, of the United States pressure campaign on Maduro. But from talking to legal experts and people throughout the administration here, they argue that this is, of course, very different, a different mission from what we've seen. Some of the other strikes, particularly on, the 2 dozens, I should say, strikes that they've had on those boats traveling throughout the Caribbean and off the coast of Venezuela. Look, I think that video last night, Eleni, that the Attorney General Pam Bondi shared of these U.S. personnel rappelling down off of that helicopter, seizing that tanker with their guns drawn. I mean, those are remarkable images we're getting. We were told that this was namely a U.S. Coast Guard mission that was working in conjunction with the FBI, Homeland Security, and the Department of Defense. Now, what I found interesting was actually word of this surprise mission actually came from the president himself. Listen.
Our message to the people of the United States remains the same.
As you probably know, we've just seized a tanker on the coast of Venezuela, large tanker, very large.
Okay. So we're seeing what's going on there and what she's saying about this, okay? Let's listen just a little bit more. I think she's got some more commentary here.
Now, look, the president said that he essentially had very good reason, the U.S. had very good reason for seizing this tanker, but he didn't really offer many details about why they did this and what to expect moving forward, as you played, Eleni, in that clip earlier of him saying, he doesn't really know what they're going to do with the oil that was in transport on that tanker. He said, I guess we'll keep it. Now, what's interesting is that the tanker named Skipper, it was sanctioned by the Biden administration back in 2022 for what they had said was Venezuela trying to transport this oil to Iran. And experts tell us from our conversations that this was a legally justified by the book mission. They note that the fact that the Coast Guard were the ones that were involved in this makes it very different from those strikes I was mentioning earlier that have killed 87 people or so on those boats.
Okay. So you can see that, this was actually, the ship was actually declared sanctioned. It was sanctioned by the Biden administration for shipping oil to Iran. Okay. So this has been on their radar for a while. And now you have the Coast Guard involved. You have law enforcement involved. Obviously, the ones who did it were Marines, or special operations forces of some sort that did it. Okay. I can't confirm that it was Marines just yet. But that's the strategy. The strategy, again, is just choke off the oil money. A tanker of that size, a super tanker, it's massive, going to China and delivering oil to Iran, both. Okay, I'm not sure which one where it was going, but they say allegedly a lot of it was going towards China, and that's mostly where a lot of it goes. Okay, and so they're fueling their ability to resist. And here's the thing. The Maduro regime is not like a good regime. Let's just get this out of the open, okay? I have this on good authority that, he's a full-out dictator. He lost the last election. He should not be in power. So let's not make any mistakes here. This is not a good guy. When we say he is the head of the Cartel de los Soles, like the government-run drug cartel, okay, that this is how they make their extra money and how they stay in power, and they do murder, intimidation, all these things like that. Most of these things are true. Okay, there's a lot out there if you do some research on this. So let's not make any mistakes. As much as we're saying, hey, we shouldn't do this, we shouldn't do that. Let's, give peace a chance and let's have, just be peaceful. This is a very bad guy and a very bad regime right in our backyard that is totally cozied up to China, totally cozied up to Russia, beyond cozied up. Okay, they have advisors since this kicked off. A Russian plane landed with advisors, military advisors there, okay? So, and arms have been flowing in, Russian arms, Chinese arms, Iranian drones have been flowing in. It's like, everybody who's our enemy has been supplying them to support them. This guy shouldn't even be in power anymore, okay? Someone else won the election. And then this woman who's an opposition leader who won the Nobel Prize can't even go get it because they'll like arrest her and then kill her, basically, if she comes out of hiding. So, just a lot going on. Let's make no mistake here, right? If you're for the boat strikes, you're not for them. You're for invading Venezuela, you're not. I don't think any of us are really for that, right? I think a diplomatic solution should be done. I'll say it once more. But bottom line is he is not a good guy. This is not a good guy. Now, have we worked with other guys who are not good guys? Yes, we have. Okay. And also the devil that right? There's always that saying as well, too. Who's the next person up to be the leader? If we get rid of him, if he leaves and we get him out of power, okay? So supposedly it's this woman who won the Nobel Peace Prize. She's the next one to take over, or it's the guy who won the election, right? One or the other. So all I'm saying is there's a lot to consider here, but seizing the oil tanker is one way to let them know that we can do this all day. We can stop all of your oil shipments, and yeah, you'll have a lot of oil in your country for you, but you'll have no money because you have no place to sell it. Right? So this is a strategy that involves us not having to blow any boats up, not having to really, destroy anything or kill anyone. You saw they handled that pretty well. Now, the next thing is if they do another one and they get resistance and a helicopter gets shot down, you're going to see a whole different thing happen. Is that possible? Yes, it's possible. Probably not, because they know then we would really escalate things further to probably taking the fight to inside of Venezuela. If they blew up one of our helicopters going in there to do a visit board search and seizure, which is it's a forceful operation. It can go lethal, it can go kinetic, but they don't have to be because they come down with such overwhelming force. You have to remember the ship, there's something called a shouldering ship. The shouldering ship comes alongside the vessel, and so you have a no kidding U.S. Navy vessel coming up close as well with snipers, with Navy guns, with optics, all these things. So it's not just the helicopters, not just the guys coming down. It's all kinds of stuff there that lets the ship know, don't play around because, if this doesn't go well, we can also blow you out of the water. That's another thing that can happen, okay? Which they've done with the Somali pirates. Hey, stop what you're doing. No? Okay, watch this. Boom, 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 boom. They blow them out of the water, literally, okay? So that's another way to do things. A couple questions. Let's check this out. Okay. Yeah, Meyer, I think you're right. Ukraine could have been handled differently. In my uninformed opinion, why not be mindful of Russia in the first place and maintain clear boundaries? Yeah, I mean, you're right. You're right about that for sure. And that's hindsight's 2020, but I think you're definitely right. Sending clear messages, clear communication to Russia that of how we wanted to handle it, what we wanted to have happen, what their intentions are, what their interests are. You know, I think you're right about that for sure. And then Super Slam, Ben, were you certified? Let me see. Were you certified to pop off on fools from the helicopter? No, I was the commander. I had guys that were certified to pop off on fools, some of my snipers, but I was the mission commander. So I ran the whole operation, and I was in charge of actually, you know, the overall synchronization, the plan, execution, all the stuff like that. But I had some really qualified snipers who were very good. You know, I can remember specifically without mentioning names, but, you know, highly decorated, very, very top-notch, amazing sniper, and others that could come close and do a good job. But he was the certified, you know, ship takedown VBSS sniper, and he was amazing. So very advanced sniper, not easy to do. Let me see what else I got here. Nick would probably say China is the thing to be thinking about over Venezuela. Yeah, I mean, I think you're right, ultimately. And here's what I'll say. I think we are thinking about China by thinking about Venezuela, if that makes sense, okay? Because China wants to get a port or a base in Venezuela. That's my understanding. That's what they were shooting for. The slow buildup, infrastructure, investment. They're trying to get a very favorable location. They're doing shaping operations, right? Advanced force operations, shaping operations, maybe not truly advanced force operations, but your preparation of the environment, preparation of maybe not the battlefield, but preparation of the environment for shaping for an environment that's conducive to you having a launch pad or at least a significant fifth column of business, of enterprise, maybe even a base. So it makes sense that you have a base someday, okay? So I think by thinking about Venezuela, we're kind of thinking about China in a way, because the stronger we are, this is, again, what I think the calculus is, especially with the huge strategic oil reserve there. Let's see. Mark, are SEALs usually assigned with a MU or just Marine Spec Ops? So back in the day, SEALs were. Back in the day, you know, like say 20 years ago, SEALs were, but then the global war on terror kicked off, and no longer any SOCOM asset was really out with the MU, okay? Force Recon is still, I believe, inherent, intrinsic and organic to the MU with, maybe not organic, I shouldn't say that, but when they're task organized, they're there, okay? And also the Maritime Raid Force, which is something I commanded before, the MSPF, the Maritime Raid Force, is the one that probably did that VBSS, which is what we used to do back in the day. And but Marine Raiders wouldn't even be there either because it's a SOCOM asset. So unless Admiral Bradley decided, or the Southcom, the TSOC, the Theater Special Operations Command, had decided to put a you know, SEAL asset, a SEAL task unit, or you know, a Marine Raider task force or task unit down there to do these operations, then it wouldn't be, and it would be a Marine heavy force recon asset, Maritime Raid Force asset that did that, which is fully qualified to do it. Okay. The only time we're going to see like the top level of, like, you know, the top level SEALs, like developmental group, or, you know, that type of asset, dev group, do something like that is for something that's ultra sensitive. Like if they had nuclear weapons, they had hostages. Let's say Maduro was trying to flee on the oil cargo vessel, right? The oil tanker. We find out Maduro's on there. Dev group would have probably come down there and done this operation. Okay. So let's see what else we got. Interesting question. If Marine units, I believe, have different authorities or something. I think Ben mentioned the president has more flexibility to use some Marine units. Yeah, for sure. The Marine Corps basically can go and operate in other countries. The president can send them with, I believe it's up to 60 days before he has to get congressional authorization. Okay. You guys can correct me if I'm wrong, any of my Marine brothers out there, but that's my my understanding from all the command and staff and war college and all the stuff that I went through. Okay. And I'm a little bit rusty right now, but yeah, they have authorization to do that. I think they could send the Army too, but the Army's not expeditionary like that unless you're a special operations unit. And then obviously they use special operations for forces like that too. But the Marine Corps is the largest medium weight, heavy punching, forced entry shock troop type organization that they can send. I mean, you can send a special operations raid force. That's not the same as, launching a helicopter raid with a boat raid with a mechanized raid with, tanks coming ashore with Navy fighter jets and Marine fighter jets offshore. It's just not the same, right? We're talking a precision raid versus a medium-sized hammer coming in and smashing things, just different. So that's why they would choose the Marines for that, if that's the case. But if they're looking for more precision, then you send in SOCOM assets to do something. Okay, hopefully that answers the question. Okay, cool. Let's move on. Let's see this next little video here. We got a bunch more to cover before we get to the aliens, and before we get to Southpark. We are in the fight. We're in the friggin' fight, and we're doing it. We're going on and going to figure out what is going on, why the U.S. is preparing to invade Venezuela, if they are. Let's check this out, okay? Here we go. If you want to know why they matter, here's why they matter.
The world's largest oil reserves, sitting in a country where 30% of the population has already fled, Russian and Iranian weapons flowing in. And in August, for the first time since the 1980s, the U.S. has assembled a massive naval strike force just miles from Venezuela's coast. 8 warships, a nuclear submarine, over 4,000 Marines. Officially, it's about drugs and refugees. But here's the truth nobody wants to say out loud. Washington may actually be preparing to invade. Why now? Today, we're unpacking the hidden evidence, from collapsing oil pipelines to China's secret deals to the quiet troop buildups that prove why the U.S. might be closer than ever to war in its own backyard. Today's crisis didn't appear overnight. It's been decades in the making. And to really understand why Venezuela and America are now on the edge of open conflict, we need to rewind. It all started in 1999. When Hugo Chavez stormed into power promising to defy the United States. By 2002, the relationship had already collapsed. The CIA even backed a coup that briefly removed Chavez from office, a warning that U.S. intervention in Venezuela wasn't a conspiracy theory, but a reality that would haunt the next 20 years. Chavez built his entire image around defying Washington, constantly painting the U.S. as an imperialist enemy. His successor, Nicolas Maduro, doubled down on that message, turning being anti-American into Venezuela's official brand. The result? A spiral of retaliation. Venezuela seized oil fields, the U.S. hit back with rising sanctions, and the 2000s turned into a slow-motion collision course that was bound to explode sooner or later. By the mid-2000s, Washington had Venezuela in its crosshairs. First came the labels, failing counter-narcotics partner. Then came the sanctions, targeting officials and allies of Hugo Chavez. Things escalated under Maduro. In 2019, the U.S. made a move straight out of a spy novel. It declared opposition leader Juan Guaido the real president of Venezuela and openly backed an attempted coup. The plan.
All right. So, again, just getting a good snapshot of, why we potentially would be going to invade there. And let's watch this next little clip. I think it's another really good one that paints a reason why we, in fact, would be thinking about going into Venezuela, okay? Or why, I should say, why we're thinking about it, why we're doing what we're doing, okay? So check this out. Again, this is from Sky News.
Now, Donald Trump is insisting that the main reason he's interested in Venezuela, the main reason the US is kind of looking at tankers off the coast of Venezuela comes back to drugs, the trade, the smuggling of illegal drugs out of Venezuela. But what if it's not just that? Maybe there's something else going on. What if it's partly about oil? Now, on the surface, you might be thinking, why does America even need Venezuelan oil? And I can kind of understand your point, because if you look at just total oil production, look, this is up until 2005, the US was there, Venezuela was there, Saudi Arabia was there. But as you probably know, since then, everything has changed. Look, American output has gone through the roof, way above Saudi Arabia, way above Saudi Arabia. And Venezuela has gone basically to the floor. And that's kind of post-Chavez, Maduro. They're one of the minnows now, I think 21st biggest producer in the world. So again, that question, why should America care? Well, in the US, that big rise is largely down to this. It's down to the shale revolution. So you've got fracking all around the US producing extraordinary amounts of crude oil. And here's where we get to the interesting bit. Because when you're thinking about crude oil, maybe you're just thinking about, well, look, barrels of oil. It's all the same, isn't it? Well, actually, no. So if you kind of look at crude oil, there are various different types of crude in different parts of the world. There's actually kind of various different ways you can categorize it. But one way you can look at it is look at the kind of density. So you're basically looking at how thick that crude is. And when I say thick, I mean literally how thick. This is showing you global production broken down by the density of that oil. And so you've got the kind of medium stuff. And this is probably, if you've got kind of image in your mind of what crude oil looks like, it's a bit like this, it's kind of black, but it's not too viscous, it flows around. But there's other stuff as well. So this is light crude. And it kind of almost looks like a smoothie, doesn't it? And that's the same stuff. This is still crude oil, but down to the kind of geological and the biological conditions in the ground when it was being formed, hundreds of millions of years ago, it comes out looking a bit different. And so that's light. You've also got heavy stuff. And it's kind of relatively small in global production, but this is gloopy, super viscous stuff, heavy oil. So heavy, medium, light. Remember that. And remember also the key thing here is you get it out of the ground, it may look like that, but ultimately you still need it to go into, someone's car, or indeed, be turned into chemicals. Basically, you need to process it. And that processing, that happens in places like this, in refineries. And there are refineries all over the world, of course. There are refineries all over the US as well. There's kind of more than 100 of them. And if we kind of look at where those refineries are, well, so there's some in California. So the history in America, actually, historically, a lot of the early Californian oil, that was the heavy, gloopy stuff. And if you look at kind of some of the refineries in America, so here are some of the refineries.
All right, I don't know about you guys, but I've never heard this before. I've never heard this, okay? So I'm learning a lot right now. I hope you're learning something. So they're saying there's crude oil, the heavy, gloopy stuff, the medium crude oil, which is looks like oil, and then the light stuff looks like kind of like a milkshake, okay? And so the refineries are really what matter. But California used to have the heavy, gloopy stuff from what they're saying. All right, let's keep listening. This is really interesting. I had no clue.
There's one in LA there. These are the 10 biggest. You've got some up here around kind of towards Canada. We'll kind of come to that in a second. But a lot of them are down there, kind of Texas, Louisiana, on the coast. And here's the critical thing. These refineries are primarily set up for heavy oil, for taking that gloopy stuff and turning it into gasoline and all of the other different products. But here's where things get interesting. And remember that chart I showed you a moment ago, the one which showed kind of shale oil and how it kind of went through the roof? The oil that's generally produced with shale oil, the fracking oil, that comes out of the ground mostly in the light form. So it's the smoothie. It's sometimes actually even clear. It comes out of the ground clear rather than black. And that's the majority of American production right now. Shale oil tends to be light stuff. And actually that's...
All right, is he going to tell me that Venezuela has the oil refinery capability for the light stuff? Is that what he's going to say? He's going to reveal? And Nick, you're saying that the Middle East is also shale oil, light, sweet oil? Maybe, man. The only refineries that can do the ugly, heavy crude are in Texas, yep. And then also California, from what he's saying. And it's the part of the irony of this actually doing this invasion thing. Yeah, Nick, I mean, this is what I'm seeing. So I'm wondering if we're doing this because Venezuela has the facilities for the light. I don't know. Let's see.
That's kind of going back 10 years. Look at where we are now. Look at those bars. In the last few years, the amount of light oil being produced in the US has gone up and up and up, and the amount of kind of heavy stuff has gone down. But back to those refineries. They need to be fed. If America's going to have gasoline, it needs to feed those refineries with heavy oil. So if you look at the kind of imports coming into America in recent years, even though America...
Wait a second.
So if you look at...
Hold on. All right,
it needs to feed those refineries with heavy oil. America's going to have gasoline, but back to those refineries. They need to be fed. If America's going to have gasoline, it needs to feed those refineries with heavy oil. So if you look at the kind of imports coming into America in recent years, even though America is producing so much oil, more oil than it ever produced before, it still needs to suck in loads of oil from overseas. And the type of oil we're talking about, it used to be, it's mostly heavy crude. It used to be only 12%. So only 12% of imports were heavy, gloopy crude. Now, it's about 70%. So 70% of the oil coming into America, which it needs to basically keep its economy going, is heavy crude. And where does heavy crude come from? Well, here are some of the big countries where you find...
All right, this is like the big reveal right now. So pay attention right now. Nick, let me see what you're saying. Most of that oil Venezuela needed to export was refined in Texas. Ah, okay. Okay, got it. Wow, that's crazy. They might actually import their own refined oil. So most of the oil Venezuela used to export was refined in Texas. I don't think they have much of their own refinery capacity. They may actually import refined oil at this point because it's so mismanaged. Yeah. This chart may misrepresent what's actually being imported for domestic use. It might be exported internationally after refining. Let's see. Okay.
Most of it, it's Canada and Venezuela.
Thanks, Nick.
There's one other I'll come to in a second, which we'll come back to. But it's Canada and it's Venezuela where you get most of this heavy crude oil, which is why, about to think about where those refineries are, they're mostly set up kind of, you've got some in the north there to get the heavy oil coming out of Canada, and you've got some around the kind of Louisiana and elsewhere and Texas to get that heavy oil that comes in from Venezuela. That was kind of the way they were set up. And it's really expensive to rebuild these things. You can't just chuck out a refinery very easily overnight. Some came from Mexico and the Gulf of Mexico as well, and that was pretty heavy too. So that's the picture in America. And the upshot is, even though America is producing more and more oil, the imports, this is showing you imports of oil into America, are still really high. And if you break down those imports by the country that stuff is coming from, well, there's Venezuela. And it used to be a decent slug, actually more coming from Venezuela just about than from Canada, just at the turn of the millennium. But now look at what's happened since. Right now, Canada has gone from 15% of all of the US imports of oil to...
Turning this into an academic session, but it's fascinating. It's absolutely fascinating. It's wild. I mean, so here's the thing. We can take the lazy way out and we can say, yeah, it's all because of the oil, right? It's because of the oil. But a lot of people they're talking about saying it's because of the oil. They say it's because of the huge oil reserves in Venezuela. But they don't connect the dots saying, okay, we have big refineries here, and in order to get our gas, we get their huge, sludgy, heavy crude oil, and we refine it in those Texas refineries. Like he's saying, they're very expensive. You can't just throw one up overnight. They're not easy to build. So, you know, we've got these massive oil refineries that are in Texas that's where we pull in the Venezuelan oil. And so it kind of all comes together. It makes sense. Yeah, Kazakhstan oil is where it's at right now. Yeah, it's interesting, right? Okay. Oil sands, tar sands from Canada and Alberta, I believe. Yeah. Yeah, it's really interesting. Okay, let's keep on going here. I think that, let me see if I have anything else on Venezuela. I think that is it. All right. So we're going to move on right now. We are moving on to China. We're taking the full world tour. Don't worry, leadership lessons in Southpark are coming soon, and so are UFOs and aliens. Hang in there. You will be rewarded if you make it through, okay? If you make it through, you're the ones who stick it all the way through. You'll be smarter. You'll be better. You'll be uplifted. You'll be inspired, and you're going to get to laugh your ass off, okay? Here we go. Except for the aliens, it's serious stuff. A little bit funny, but serious stuff. All right, here we go. Ready? Let's check this thing out. All right. Danger, danger, Will Robinson. Dangerous time with explosive military growth in China. Let's check this out.
Welcome back. President Trump releasing a new national security strategy focused on China being primarily a, quote, economic adversary. The Wall Street Journal writes about this strategy, saying that it is softer on Beijing than that of 8 years ago, and that it plays down ideological differences between the U.S. and China. The Journal writes this: the days of the U.S. propping up the entire world order like Atlas are over. China got rich and powerful and used its wealth and power to its considerable advantage. We will rebalance America's economic relationship with China, prioritizing reciprocity and fairness to restore American economic independence. The U.S. does not support any unilateral change to the status quo in the Taiwan Strait. We should aim to restore a military balance favorable to the United States and to our allies in the region, according to this U.S. national security strategy out of the White House. Joining me now is Gatestone Institute senior fellow Gordon Chang. Gordon, good to see you. Interesting to read through this national strategy and see the way the administration describes China. You saw what the Journal said. How would you assess it?
Well, the Journal is right in the sense that the national security strategy doesn't specifically name China as an adversary or an enemy. And that's a mistake, especially because the Communist Party has specifically named the U.S. as its enemy. And, you know, China's not the only threat, but it's the only threat that of great concern, because the other threats, Russia, Iran, North Korea, Venezuela, wouldn't be threats if they didn't have China's backing. But this is a great national security strategy nonetheless. And the reason is because China is mentioned indirectly throughout this document. And it's clear that the Trump administration is opposed to what China is doing. So, for instance, towards the end of this national security strategy, there's a paragraph that says, look, there's a hostile foreign power that's trying to close off the South China Sea or impose tolls. And both of those actions would be unacceptable, and we will not permit that. Well, the only power that fits that description is China. And there are many other examples throughout the national security strategy like that. So it's clear that the Trump administration has got the right strategy. It just won't name it in public.
So why do you think that is? I mean, do you think that there is some shift underway where the White House is getting softer on China?
Yeah, the White House is getting softer on China, and that's clear for now for about the last month. I tend to think, though, that the administration wants to get past the next couple of years, which is our critical vulnerability on rare earths, for instance, also pharmaceuticals. And the administration wants to try to build American resilience in those and other areas, which are mentioned in the national security strategy. But the point is that the administration needs to speak clearly about China, because China talks about going to war all the time. It's fast preparing for it. And the president of the United States has an obligation to talk to the American people about how dangerous this moment is. So yeah, I would like to see some language there. A little Ronald Reagan would be a good thing at this point.
Yeah, meanwhile.
All right. So very interesting how right now our national security strategy is not naming China as the #1 adversary. In the past, it always has. It's always been China focused for years. Okay. Russia obviously being right up there with them, but we're not naming them anymore. We name them at the end, talking about someone trying to impose their will and impose, restrict the flow and the freedom of seas in South China Sea and all these things. But it's a very dangerous moment right now from what this strategist is saying. This guy was saying, okay, that the reason why is because we have this moment where we're vulnerable for rare earth metals and all these things like that. Okay, so there's a lot going on here, but it's interesting because we don't name China as our #1 adversary, but they named us and their own national security strategy. So do you guys think that's right? I mean, is that what we should be doing? Put in the chat what you think about that. Okay, if you think that this is right, that if someone's naming you as their top adversary and we shouldn't name them, you guys tell me what you think. It's interesting, right? So, Becky, I see you there. I'm trying to prove I'm not. I don't know what that is. Yes, that's right. That is what I'm trying to do. But I think it's interesting to say that we're not creating or saying that China is our number one adversary, but they're saying that we are. Okay. I think we have to be able to call things the way they are. Now, is there a bit of diplomacy at play? Yeah, for sure. Right. We don't want to, we're trying to soften things a little bit. This is also very clever strategy, right? It's also diplomacy where, okay, we didn't name you in our national strategy, our security strategy as our number one adversary. So, maybe you guys can ease up too, but that's not the way China works, right? That's not the way they work. And so we'll see how it all works out, but it's interesting. It's interesting as we ramp up in Venezuela and, we're talking about pulling back a bit from Ukraine and Russia. We're also talking a bit about pulling back a little bit from Russia, from China, but we're ramping up more in Venezuela in the Western Hemisphere. There's a lot at play here. There's a lot at play. And so it remains to be seen what's going to happen, but very interesting time. And I think that's a Chinese curse. May you live in interesting times as well. All right. We are getting very close right now, everyone. We're getting very close for what you've been waiting for. And yes, it is that time, my friends. It is time for actually Bitcoin news very soon, okay? Bitcoin news coming up very soon. But before then, okay? Before then, nothing. We're going to hit this Bitcoin really quick, okay? As I promised you guys I would talk about it this week in the post, in one of my posts. So let's do this right now.
Cycle,
because there's some interesting stuff going on.
Super cycle, you never want to sell. So you could call that permeable. I would be calling it right.
There's a storm brewing for Bitcoin and Ethereum.
I mean, the United States government has a strategic Bitcoin reserve now, right? Like, what bigger kind of endorsement might you have of like?
So the reason why I bring this up, right, and why am I putting this video particularly here for Bitcoin? Well, because this man's point right here is what sold me on it. And if you want to understand what's going on with Bitcoin, and we want to understand, like, is it really here to stay? And I know it's taken a big dip recently, surprisingly big dip. But what you're going to see in this video, it's very interesting. You're going to see the bank, PNC Bank, has just committed to a major cryptocurrency move, allowing all of its users, it's one of the biggest banks in the world, they're allowing access of its users to cryptocurrency, okay? And so the United States now has a cryptocurrency, has a Bitcoin reserve. The Bitcoin institutional investors, like governments, major banks, major investors, is not going away, okay? So even though you see a dip in the current price right now, the smart money and the big institutional investors are still investing, and they're opening it up wider and wider to other people, okay? So I owe this to you guys from what I said this week. There was a big decision in the Fed to cut rates, which is going to increase liquidity, meaning people have more money, which is going to mean that probably more people are going to be buying Bitcoin, buying cryptocurrency, okay? And so I think it's important, though, to note, again, the two major things, right? Well, let's say one major thing, first of all. Institutional adoption is massive, okay? So they believe that there's going to be this is going to be a big bull run coming on the heels of all this. We're seeing this liquidity being tightened, some froth being taken out of the market, and a lot of the people who had bought Bitcoin on option are having to sell due to the price drop. Now institutional investors are coming in and snapping all this up. Okay, so it's only a matter of time. It's going to keep on going up, in the near future. They're predicting over the next month or two. I don't know what the predictions are for the price, but it's not going away. So the price drop you saw, and if anybody's calling doomsday on it, the smart money, again, the banks, the investors, the major institutions are still investing, still holding it as a real asset, and in fact, offering it more to their people. Okay, let's keep watching this because I think it's important. That's why I put this video in here, and I owed it to you guys, so I will not skip over it, but here we go.
This is here to stay.
Let's go over the latest news that affects you if you hold Bitcoin, if you hold Ethereum.
If you have the conviction on the right ideas, you never want to sell the strongest ideas.
Subscribe to Altcoin Daily to stay informed. But breaking news, this was just revealed, the 6th largest bank in the world, PNC Bank, rolls out spot Bitcoin access for their private clients. This just went into effect.
Good morning. PNC announcing that it has entered a strategic partnership with Coinbase. The arrangement will expand access to digital assets for PNC's banking clients and institutional investors, and PNC will provide banking services to Coinbase. Shares of Coinbase down about 3.7%, PNC up slightly. According to the release, the two companies will develop an initial offering that will allow clients to buy, hold, and sell cryptocurrencies.
And how this affects you, this essentially opens up a whole new pool of capital for Bitcoin and crypto. PNC Bank is the first major US bank to offer spot Bitcoin trading directly within its digital banking platform, meaning you open your bank account, you can buy.
Okay, so what that means, a whole pool of capital to invest in Bitcoin. So what exactly does this mean? Okay, it means that people will be buying more Bitcoin, okay, which is going to cause the price to keep going up. That's what they're saying. So as these institutions offer more options to their investors, to their people, to their clients and customers, they're showing real confidence in the asset, okay? They're showing real confidence in the asset. So people are going to buy more and the price is going to go back up. That's what they're saying, okay? Let's keep watching.
Sell or trade Bitcoin. Right now, this is only offered to PNC's eligible private bank clients, meaning high net worth, meaning the elites get access to this first because PNC believes all the elites can manage their money better. They understand the risks. The common person cannot be responsible for themselves to understand the risks. I think that's BS. I think Bitcoin is for everybody, but this is how it starts. The integration, years in the making, lets clients trade and hold Bitcoin without using a separate crypto exchange. So pay attention to what they do, not what they say, what they do. Because what they say, the mainstream media for several weeks, couple months has been saying, whoa, crypto, it's about to head into a deep bear market. It's way overvalued. But notice the implementation the elites are putting in. Notice what they do. And what PNC.
Okay, and that's my whole point. My whole point is notice what they do. As he said, they're saying it's a big bear market, but notice the elite investors, the smart money, they're still investing in this, okay? It's still a big thing, all right? Okay, and that is that for our Bitcoin section. And now you have reached the point you've all been waiting for, and we are going into the leadership lessons of Southpark. You happy few, you band of brothers who have made it this far, you shall be rewarded for lasting this long on the journey with me. And we're going to play that right now, okay? Tell your friends, tell everybody, let them know it's happening. Like, subscribe, comment, share, all that stuff. Here we go. Let's go ahead and get this going right now. I've been waiting for this moment myself as well. Let's check out what we can learn today from Southpark. Who knows where they're going to take us? Who knows what's going to happen? Let's check it out right now. Here we go. Let's see how far let's see what they're going to do for us today. Here we go.
The past few months have just been really awful. There were these ICE raids, and my dad's company went out of business. Then we lost our house and had to move into the old folks' home with my grandpa. It's like everything keeps changing, and I really don't know how to cope with it.
Uh-huh. And how exactly do you feel like shit has changed, bro?
Well, Jesus, it just seems like people aren't really as kind and giving as they used to be, Like, I just got some money from Saudi Arabia, and I'm thinking of sharing it, because I feel like that's what everyone needs right now. Like a big Christmas miracle.
Sounds like some socialist bullshit to me, bro.
Jesus, I don't want to live in an old folks' home anymore, okay? Now, I don't know what's made you change like this, but we need some goddamn Christmas magic. Hey, baby, I brought you some Pinot Grigio.
What took you so long?
Don't be mad. I was out doing my charity work. I'm a Christian, so I sing to people in need.
Just shut up and pour me that shit. You want to make your life better, Stan? Join the frickin' club. This is the time of year we all wish things were better. But trust me, nothing miraculous is going to happen to anyone.
Wow.
The past few months
What
have just
in the
been
world. What did I find here? Unbelievable. Just when I thought it was safe to go in the Southpark pool, the Southpark pond and ocean, they go ahead and do this. What the hell? Is unbelievable, man. It's totally killing me. They are absolutely nuts. Unbelievable. All right, let's get to the next one. But there's always hope. There's always got to be hope. Don't lose hope. The chance for a miracle to happen is coming right now. Okay? If you hang in there and you earn it, you stay long enough on the job, stay with me long enough, you're going to find out how we get the miracle. And here we go. We're going to get the miracle right now. If you've seen this one, I don't know. I don't know what to tell you. But this is the miracle that Stan prayed for, and it comes to him. Okay? So I hope you're ready for this. I'm ready for it. Let's do it. Here we go.
Oh, are you really gonna overanalyze a crap out? No way, crap outs have no rules.
All right, here we go.
Go away! Wait up! What do you guys want? Well, didn't you hear, Stan? Satan's gonna give birth to the Antichrist. Yeah, he's gonna have a foot baby, and there's gonna be a big crap out.
What?
And nobody loves a crap out more than us. Yeah! Wait a minute, wait. This doesn't make any sense. You guys are just something that Cartman made up in his head. Oh, are you really gonna overanalyze a crap out? No way, crap outs have no rules. Yay! All right, y'all. Stan wished us here to help the Prince of Darkness, so we gotta do what he says. I didn't wish for that. I didn't know anything about Satan having a baby or crap outs. But you asked for a Christmas miracle, Stan, and this crap out's gonna make everything better. It is? Are you sure? Of course! Crap outs are the best! Come on, let's get to it! Yay!
All right. So the lesson here is that if it doesn't seem right, it doesn't sound right, it doesn't look right, feel right, seem right, it's not right. Okay. Clearly, Stan is not feeling good about this. He got, rejected from his school counselor, what happens to be Jesus in this case right now. Okay. And nothing seems right. No one's going to have a miracle. Everyone's down. So what does he do? When you're down, you're beaten down, your heroes have failed you, all these things, he turns to what seems to be cute and cuddly, fun little woodland animals who actually are like demons or something terrible. Okay. If you've ever seen the episode, it's crazy. Okay. And so he believes in what they're saying, but he knows better. And this is the thing about leadership, right? You're going to know better. If it doesn't feel right, it doesn't seem right, it's not right. You don't want to listen to these people that you already know are probably bad for you. Okay. And this is the leadership lesson here, is that Stan knows better. He knows it's not right. He knows it's not good, and he's still going to do it. And so this is what I say, is that the lesson to learn here is that despite knowing in his gut what they're saying is a bunch of bullcrap, he still goes along with it. All right. How many times do people do that you've seen? All right. Let's keep on going. We got another one here. Not of the same thing, I don't think, but let's see. Let's see what has been brought to us here. I think we have a nice little contribution from our favorite South Park character, at least one of mine. No one can ever remember those words. I've never watched the whole thing of this before. So I've never actually seen that. What in the world? Unbelievable. All right. So we hit the Southpark. Now we're rolling into aliens. Don't be afraid. Okay. We're going to take you home with a laugh at the end too. But we got to see what's going on a little bit with the aliens because there's a lot of stuff happening with the aliens. I'm not going to lie to you. Okay. Let's check this one out. And if you're ready for aliens, put a little fire symbol in the chat. Tell me if you're ready for the aliens. I'm going to hit you up with it right now. Okay. Let's go. I know we're a full out Benathon. This is like a really long one today, but we're going to do it. Here we go. Ready? Put the fire symbol in the chat if you're ready for the aliens. You're ready to do this. And let's rock and roll. Here we go.
Joining us now is Michael Schellenberger, journalist and founder of Public News. Welcome back to the show, Michael. Always great to have you on. So no less than the Secretary of State, Marco Rubio, went on camera in this documentary saying publicly that the U.S. government has recovered alien technology from non-human sources and is currently working to reverse engineer it. That's pretty incredible, isn't it?
Wait, this is like nuts, though. Honestly, this is nuts. Hold on before I lose this entire page. This is nuts. It's nuts because Marco Rubio is the one who said we've recovered alien technology and we're trying to reverse engineer it. Okay? So this is why I posted this. This is why we're doing this today to talk about this. I probably should have done it a little bit earlier, but here we are. Let's check it out. This is what they're saying. I think this is absolutely nuts.
Isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. Great to be with you, Elizabeth. It's already a historic moment. I mean, we've never had anybody at Rubio's level. And keep in mind, Rubio is also the National Security Advisor. The last time you had the Secretary of State and the National Security Advisor as the same person was Henry Kissinger between 1973 and 1975. Rubio is, arguably number 3, although the State Department is number 1 in foreign policy after the president. Elizabeth, I think what this all means is that the president needs to address this issue. He needs to speak directly to the American people and explain what's going on here. Mm-hmm. There is conflicting messages. The Department of War has the same line that they've had for years, which is very specific. And they say there's no evidence of extraterrestrials. I asked why they used that word because it wasn't a word I used. And they said, well, they referred me to their report. But look at what you have on the other side. You have not just, you have the president himself, the vice president, the director of national intelligence, the Secretary of State going further than any of them and agreeing to even participate in this movie.
Yeah.
Is itself a major statement. So I think, look, there's conflicting messages. The president, I think, needs finally to address this issue.
It does feel like we've been building to this, these congressional hearings.
34. I want you to think about this. 34 senior government officials are testifying to this and are coming forward that this is a thing. Okay? That's why I brought this up again. That's why I'm back on it. I took a break from the aliens and UFOs. But again, if this is true, this is going to be the single largest event ever in human history. Okay? That we realize that these things are among us. These aliens are among us. They've been coming and going for thousands of years, I guess. There's alien technology we have recovered remains. There's a lot to think about here. Okay. So put in the chat what you guys think. Do you think this is all true or do you think it's a hoax? Just say, give me a fire symbol if it's true and aliens are here, and give me a thumbs down if you think it's a hoax. Okay? I do. I think it's true. I think they actually have the stuff that, especially now Marco Rubio is saying it. He's a sworn government official right now. He's the National Security Advisor. He's a Secretary of State. He's probably going to try and be the next president. Honestly, I think he'd be better than J.D. Vance. That's my opinion. Okay? I think J.D. Vance is very good. I just think he's not as charismatic as Marco Rubio. He's definitely not as charismatic as Donald Trump. I think he's a great administrator, and he'll be great. But I think Marco Rubio he's got the experience. He's got the chops. He's been on the campaign trail. He's the guy, Yeah, I think it's true. I do. So I think there's a lot here. You were stationed at Creech Air Force Base. Oh my gosh. Yeah, I know. Yeah, I was going to say, I've heard a lot of stuff. From Creech Air Force Base. Wild stuff. Yes, Jeff Goldblum will save us, Becky, with his laptop. So there's more here, though. It's nuts. Okay, I'm gonna give you guys the quick overview of it. We're not gonna too deep dive it, but we're gonna go in because there's more. Do an overview and a little bit of a deep dive on some of it, but there's so much. I just want to make sure we get it back on our radar, back in the show for all of you. Here we go.
These members of Congress, you know, for the longest time, Michael, it was like people with tinfoil hats were talking about UFOs, and they were dismissed as Looney Tunes. And slowly but surely, people still make fun of it. But, you know, there have been very serious congressional hearings with very serious whistleblowers testifying under oath. It does feel like we're getting to a moment, because especially in this documentary, it says,
all right, I've got to say, I've never seen this footage that we see right now. I don't know if this is new, but with this like flying like drone, flying like robot thing that looks like it's right out of Star Wars. You guys see this thing that they have circled in the white little light area? I've never seen this before. Never seen this footage. You guys know I've played a lot of stuff on here in the past, and I kind of ran out of stuff, I thought. But I've never seen this one. I think this is new. I've never seen it. That's why they're playing it. This is like right out of Star Wars. How weird is this? All right.
it's not just the United States reverse engineering these spacecraft that we have found. Russia and China have also found craft and are also reverse engineering. And this is a secret arms race happening.
Yeah, I mean, you know, look, Elizabeth Pilson has asked me, they go, what do you believe is happening? What do you, Michael Schellenberger, think is happening? Who cares? I mean, I really don't have, I don't have secret clearance. I don't have any confidential access to information.
All right, let's keep going here. We're going to go to a different video. Okay, make sure I cover as much of this as I can right now. There's another really good one I want you guys to see. Okay, so check this out. This is a retired Navy admiral talking about this, okay?
So is it possible that aliens have been living in our oceans this whole time? I never thought it would be possible I'd be reading that line on national television, but here I am. Joining us now is retired U.S. Navy Rear Admiral Tim Gallaudet. His new book, Holding Fast in the Heavy Seas, is out next spring. Admiral, great to have you on. So you say you know the exact ocean canyon we should be searching for underwater UFOs. Where is it? Why are you so sure about it?
Well, good to be with you, Elizabeth. I wouldn't quite say I know exactly where they are. What I did is support the Ross Coulthart episode this weekend, where we went out on an exploration to possibly identify where these are occurring. What we know is that the U.S. Navy has observed these phenomena going in and out of the ocean in Southern California repeated times. And so there are areas where that might be possible. We went and investigated one such area off Redondo Beach, an undersea canyon, but we have no evidence yet. But we do know from Navy video and sailor reports to me personally, whistleblowers, that these phenomena are being observed coming in and out of the ocean off Southern California and other areas of the world's ocean.
And to be clear, they're not just observed going in and out of the water, they're observed moving through the water at speeds that are unheard of and impossible according to everything we can do and we know scientifically.
Right. Well, I wouldn't say there's a whole mass of data, but I've had submarine officers and former acoustic intelligence specialists come to me and describe to me instances of objects they've been able to detect on sonar with anomalous behaviors, traveling faster than what our submarines can do, and even our weapons can do, such as torpedoes. And I've also had sailors come to me and describe to me, former sailors, pardon me, of the Navy, that have seen objects go in and out of the ocean. So, and by the way, others have reported this. For example, Lou Elizondo, who's has published a book about.
Okay, so there's a lot going on here. We're gonna go to this next little video really quick, okay? Because I want to show you guys this. But I mean, this is a Navy admiral, right? This is a Navy admiral, very highly credible person, who has testified in front of Congress about this before. Okay, he's also on this next video I'm going to show you. He's on this next video that I'm going to show you here with with another reporter, but it talking about this underwater anomalies, these UFOs, these underwater aliens, more or less. Okay. And so I'm trying to cover this in this interest of time to get it done quickly so you guys can see it, but it's unbelievable. This is real. This is really happening. So that's why I brought it back in the show right now. And I thought it was worth us taking a look at, because there's more and more evidence coming out that this stuff is out there, but they're really saying now to look to the oceans and look to the water, because I guess, it's an advanced civilization. These things, right? These beings are smart. They know we don't know much under the ocean. They can exist down there. So they're going down there. Or it's a big hoax. It's a big hoax, and we can say it's in the ocean because we can't get down there, right? But let's find out. We're going to learn a little more right now. Let's check this one out. Okay. And I'm going to take you guys almost on home with this one. We're getting there, but this is a really interesting one too. Let's check it out.
The government says they don't know the origin of these drones.
There are still a lot of questions about not just what they are, but also how to respond to them.
These mysterious objects aren't just flying anymore. They are even in the ocean.
The skies are not classified. They could be from the oceans. We are not alone.
We're definitely not alone.
If the American public knew how deep this lie went, we would have a crisis on our hands.
What is lurking in the depths of the oceans? Explorers have reported anomalous sightings in the water since the 11th century.
I think it is something that is probably reconstructed on the spot. Not surprised that we have found this crashed UFO in the Baltic Sea.
Soaring above it.
I saw something strange, a tic-tac incident.
It was something that couldn't be explained, and then they saw it enter the water.
What we saw, we have nothing close to it. I told my buddy.
And so that was the Admiral. If you guys saw, he was testifying there on Capitol Hill, or wherever, testifying in front of Congress. Right, where is he? We saw him a second ago. Right about here. Anyway, but that was the guy. Okay, that was the Admiral.
I think it is something that is probably reconstructed on the spot. Not surprised that we have found this crashed UFO in the Baltic Sea.
Soaring above it.
I saw something strange, a tic-tac incident.
It was something that couldn't be explained, and then they saw it enter the water.
What we saw, we have nothing close to it. I told my buddy I wanted to fly it.
Members of the US government are blowing the whistle.
What you're saying is that these objects underwater, these bases underwater, they are non-human. You're clear about that?
That would be my belief, yes, sir.
And are we being sabotaged from exploring it?
Are you now saying there is a portal, a tear in the sky?
Our GPS, with broadcasting, what our ADS-B data we call it, keeps disappearing. We keep disappearing.
We now have more evidence that there is something strange in the Catalina area.
Tonight, is the water something to be feared?
Sat there the rest of the night with a gun in my hand, waiting for something to come creeping out of the water.
We've seen some crazy stuff today.
Or does it hold the answers to the great UFO mystery?
Do you think we are being lied to by the government of the United States?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir, I do.
In this special edition of Reality Check with Ross Coulthart, Underwater UFOs. G'day and welcome to a special edition of Reality Check on News Nation. I'm your host, Ross Coulthart, reporting to you from Australia.
Okay, so we're going to stop this one there, but I want to whet your appetite because we're going to do more of this. We're going to deep dive it later at a future date on this, okay? And you can check some of these videos out on your own as well too, but I will do a deep dive on this at some point, okay? I don't know if it'll be on this show or I'll schedule another one that we can deep dive some more of these UFOs and aliens, everything that's come out since the last time I did it. But yeah, I mean, there's a lot out there. Put it in the chat again what you think about that. Yeah, I can't believe it's unclassified as well too. Yeah, I miss the ocean as well. I hear you. But it's nuts. It's like they have their own electromagnetic field. I know. You heard what he's saying. He's saying that the GPS keeps disappearing. Like they keep losing their plot at a certain point in the sky. Okay, I don't know what that means, but they're not arguing there's a portal, but there's a lot of stuff that they don't understand what's going on. And there have been too many reports of these craft being under the water or on the water or flying, disappearing into the water to ignore. Okay, and you've seen other Navy chiefs, senior chief testified, and admirals testified. So many commanders have testified, pilots have testified. All these things talking about what has happened. And in the past, they would have lost their jobs over it. Okay, they would have lost their flight status, all those things like that. So there's a lot going on out there. All right, and I appreciate you guys sticking with me this long through all of this. I hope you're getting a lot out of it. But we will touch on this more later. Put any questions you have in the chat, and I will hit it right now before we get to our final little fun part of the evening, and that is the last little blooper video I have for you guys. Okay, and I'm going to send you off with a good laugh right now. And the Southpark we keyed up a little bit earlier, but this is the final little last fun video I have to take you guys all the way home, and so you have an amazing weekend. Appreciate you guys being here with me and let me do what I love. So much fun tonight being here. But before we do that, let's see. What is my question? Did I ever read those James Rowland's books? No, not yet. I haven't. I got to check it out, though. I got to check those out. Yeah, thank you. I appreciate it. No hand grenade blooper today. I got a different one. I got an animal blooper. Animal bloopers today. Check this out, though. I think it's a good one. I was finding a lot of the same hand grenade bloopers, so I think this one's going to be a welcome break from the hand grenade bloopers, Mark. But I think you're going to enjoy this. Here we go.
Hello, everyone. Ready, boy?
Watch this spaz dog. This dog's crazy. Watch this. Dude, what? Did you see him? He went on the friggin' swing. He is nuts. Let's watch that again. I mean, the dog's crazy. Watch this. What? It's nuts. That is freaking nuts. I can't even believe that. That dog is psycho. What?
Chucky, no! No! Chucky, please, no! No, Chucky!
This is wacko.
Please.
Dale.
This is so funny. These animals are hilarious, man. They can't see me. It's actually funny. He looks like a burglar with a mask on.
MashaAllah.
Oh no. It's okay, buddy.
Come on. Oh!
That cat menaces that pit bull.
Here's my ticket. Here's my ticket.
What? Oh, what a dirty bird. Can you believe it? The adult cat? What?
Dança, papai. Cachorro feliz, feliz, feliz. Cachorro feliz, feliz. Cachorro feliz.
Simon, don't touch my phone. You're excited.
What?
Ay, ma. Man yani.
Sounds like a perfect vacation to me.
What? Oh my gosh, that's like cat abuse. What are they doing?
Oh no. My God, gunk bird, go fly. So close. We're here. There's the gunk. Oops.
All right. That's going to do it for tonight. I appreciate you guys. Thank you so much for being here again and sharing your Friday night with me. I hope you had a good time. I hope you learned something and had a good time all the way around. I know I did. Absolutely awesome just being here with you guys. Thank you for letting me do what I love. And I will see you guys all again very soon. I'll see you on Sunday at 4 p.m. and then again on Monday at 1 p.m. for our live interview with our next guest. And I hope you guys have an amazing, amazing weekend. And again, like I always say, make yourselves better, make the world better. Have an amazing, amazing weekend and go get yours. I'll see you next time, guys. Thank you so much. Go get yours. Let's go. Awesome to have you guys here.